and Vernon Lefty Gomez for the Yankees. The Yankees call Mr. Gomez Goofy, and he likes it. The Cubs players refer to Mr. Dean as Old Beers, and he likes it. Those two fellows are popular with their own mates. They're both idolized by the fans. Gomez by the fans of New York, and Dean by the fans of Chicago. When Gomez steps out on the mound in a few minutes, he's going to have an ambition there to tie one World Series record and to establish a new one. In his career so far, Lefty Grove has pitched 5 and won 5 games in the Big Fall Classic. He was with the Yanks in the series of 32, and he pitched and won 1 game. And in 1936, he pitched and won 2 games, and last year he pitched and won 2. The record for winning World Series games in 6, and it's held jointly by Chief Bender of the Old Time Athletics and by Wade Hoyt of the Yankees of some 12 to 15 years ago, when they first began to assert themselves as a great power team. No other pitchers in the history of the big series have won 6 games, but Gomez would tie that record if he should win today. And then he has a chance to set a new record for the fall show if he should win, because his standing as a World Series pitcher would then be the highest percentage of them, because by winning today, he would make it still stronger. Make it a new record, because if he wins, he will have gained 6 World Series records and will not have lost a game. His record would be 6-1 and nothing lost then. The other boys, Bender and Hoyt, who have tapped up 6 victories, have been charged at least with 1 defeat apiece. Now, Dizzy Dean's World Series experience until this year has been limited to 1 fall classic, that of 1934, when he was with the Cardinals and they played the Detroit Tigers. But Dizzy was the outstanding figure of that series and was on the mound in the 7th and deciding game when the Cards beat the Tigers and won the World's Championship. And that, by the way, is the last time that the National League was victorious in the Classic. And old Diz was credited with 2 victories in that series. And there are fans today in Chicago and in St. Louis and in many other cities who believe that Dizzy is the man who has about just what it takes to beat the Yankees. Of course, we're going to be able to tell you more about that in a couple of hours from now. Right now, we have the park filling up. Actually, hundreds of fans are milling around and being handled very nicely, as we told you yesterday, by handy-framed ushers who point out the seats and then reach for the next set of tickets. Practically everyone in the park is doing today what they did yesterday. They're standing up in the lower deck. In the upper deck, most of them are seated because they simply have to sit there and look down and see what's going on in the field. The Yankees at the present time are taking their fielding practice. Of course, later on, John Harrington is going to tell you what's going on as far as lineups and things of that sort are concerned. The wind today is not blowing from the north as it did yesterday. It's blowing from the north and east. That means that a ball hit toward center field will be blown back toward second base. A ball hit toward right field will be blown over toward the right field line. A ball hit toward left field with any sort of a carry on it should come back toward third base. It's a wind blowing in from the northeast off the lake. The temperature is around something like 52 according to the last we heard. We're not interested in the temperature as we are in seeing 2 teams get hot. Dizzy Dean is warming up for the Cubs, and Lefty Gomez, a left-hander, is warming up for the team known as the Yankees, the Bone Crushers from New York. Throws are being made in from the outfield down toward the home plate for the outfielders who have been out there in this fielding practice, and now we're having that fielding practice, too, making the throw. Selzerk is just making one throw down toward the home plate now, and instead of throwing the ball in full distance like a lot of people do, he's a smart baseball player, and he throws the ball in on a hop. The ball gets down to home plate or to any other plate faster if you shoot it on a hop. There was a very bad throw just made by DiMaggio, the ball coming off to the left of the plate. That's why he's out there practicing, to get his eye. This time he makes the peg with the wind back at him, and the ball comes a lot closer. No bounce to it, though, but right straight into the plate. They're shooting another one to him to drive him off to the left a little bit. He mixes the ball and finally picks it up to make his peg toward home plate. The colors are being assembled, and there seems to be a march starting on out in center field with the same band of American Legionnaires that was here yesterday. Of course, there will not be any seats so far as I know. That's simply my guess, because it's my understanding that all the grandstand seats and the other seats, the box seats, were sold out. If anybody can go out there and find themselves a spot in the grandstand, they're a better man than I am, because they're going to have to get up there and wedge themselves in with a shoehorn. Now, it's the same kind of an overcast day it was yesterday, with the exception of the fact that the clouds seem to be more solidly banked, and are not the dark, scuttling clouds that were there yesterday coming in from the north and west. The wind, as I told you, is off the lake, coming in from the north and east, from the scoreboard right down toward center field, and then over second base toward home plate. The clouds are a little lighter, and there seems to be a little more light out here than there was yesterday. Now, when Manager Hartlett announced last night that Dean was going to be the pitcher today, there wasn't a bit of nervousness on the part of Diz. Instead, we understand that a great big grin came over his face. He was happy about it. He's that kind of a fellow. He has the competitive spirit. And Dizzy is the kind of a fellow who says, give me that ball. He's the kind of a man who thinks he may be knocked out in the first inning, or he might go out and pitch a 9-inning shutout. But whatever happens, you can bet old Diz will give everything that he has. Dean's record for the year, interrupted by long spells, is 7 games won and 1 game lost against 18 victories and 12 defeats for Gomez. The umpires for today's game are Coles of the American League at the plate, Sears of the National League at first, Hubbard of the American League at second, and Moran of the National League over at third base. Now, we understand that the outbreak of temperament displayed by Lou Gehrig in the 8th inning of that first game yesterday was quite a big surprise to everyone who knows him, because he is not given to making demonstrations against umpires' decisions, such as he staged on that instance when he seemed just on the verge of taking a swing at somebody. Gehrig's mates explained that Lou must have been firmly convinced in his own mind that he was right, or he never would have acted that way. The thing was, the count was 3-2 on him. He started to swing at the next pitch, but saw that it was a low hook, and he pulled back the swing and got what he thought was a base on balls. But instantly, Gabby Hartlett whirled, and umpire Moran yelled foul tip, just as Gabby caught the ball, and he yelled strike 3. Moran agreed with Hartlett that it was a foul tip, and he called strike 3 on Gehrig, who by that time was jogging on his way down to first base. The minute Gehrig turned his back and started toward first, umpire Moran had his hands up in the air, and his fingers stuck out, 3 of them in the right hand, but he did not call until Gehrig had gone down probably 5 or 6 feet toward first. Of course, Gehrig's protest was useless because he was protesting on a decision that involved an umpire's judgment. There was no use in protesting in a case of that sort. The photographers have been down in the field literally by the hundreds today. We understand yesterday that at one time there were 60 or 70 of them down there. But in some way, apparently, some of these boys who are candid camera fiends have gone down there and sort of wiggled out of the field and commenced to take pictures all over the place. They're thinning out now, so there are probably not more than 25 or 30 of them down there. Most of them at the present time are taking pictures of Dizzy Dean as he warms up, and the others were for a while taking pictures over near the first base dugout where Gomez is warming up. There will never be any kick from either team as to white shirts in the background out there in the center field bleachers. That's the one thing that the home team and the visiting teams howled about this year, was the fact that it was pretty tough to try to see that ball coming from an overhand pitch if the pitcher was more than 4 feet high because of the white shirts out there for a background. But today, with the temperature down where it is, everybody has on either a coat or a top coat or a sweater of some kind. And as far as that's concerned, if there were white shirts out there, it would be just the same for the home team as it would for the visiting team, and vice versa. And while we're speaking of ifs, there are a lot of ifs in baseball, and of course there were a lot of ifs yesterday. A lot of people said last night, as we talked to them in the drugstore in our building, if such and such a thing had happened, the Cubs would have won. Well, the main point I told them is that if the Cubs had got more runs than the Yankees, they would have won. There were a lot of ifs in the ball game, but that is what is known as second-guessing. And we don't do any second-guessing out of this booth. You can if all you want to, but there's no sense in it because the ball game is in the records as a Yankee win. The only thing to do is to say that if the Cubs get more runs today, they'll win. And that's the first guess. It's not a second guess. It's very easy to tell what you would have done. The ball just thrown back now by Jimmy O'Day, hit Dizzy Dean on his gloved hand, and he yanked the glove off quickly and looked at his finger. One of his fingers in the left hand apparently was injured a little bit, but he's right back in there warming up and is not paying any attention to it. The band has swung into formation, flags in front, the band facing toward the north and east, near the flagpole, just in front of the center field bleachers. Back out there, we see the boys are getting ready for the flag-raising ceremony, which will be held, of course, in just a few moments before the ball game starts. The umpires have come out of the first base dugout and are down there in the Yankee dugout, each of them stopping to take a drink of water out of a little water fountain that's down in the corner. Here come the umpires out on the field, and when the umpires come up, that means that it isn't going to be very long before the official lineups will be handed in, and that the boys will start playing ball. And as long as the umpires are going to find out who's playing in this ball game, I think it's only right that you should find out who's playing in this ball game, too. And you will in just a moment. But first, I'd like to say that this broadcast of the World Series game between the Chicago Cubs and the New York Yankees is coming to you from Wrigley Field, Chicago. We pause for station identification. The national anthem is being played, ladies and gentlemen. We pause for that. Ladies and gentlemen, the proceedings will be taken over for the lineups in the ball game by John Harrington. Take it, John.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Let me announce at this time that Pat Flanagan and I will share this microphone to bring you the play-by-play broadcast of today's game from out here at Wrigley Field, the home of the Cubs in Chicago, the second game of the 1938 World Series. Here are the lineups for today. By the New York Yankees, Crosetti at shortstop, Ralph at third base, Henrich in right field, DiMaggio in center field, Gehrig at first base, Dickey the catcher, Selkirk in left field, Gordon at second base, and Gomez the pitcher. By the Chicago Cubs, we have a bit of a changed lineup here, although at the start it's exactly the same as it was yesterday. Hack is the leadoff man, the third baseman, Herman at second base, Demery, who played in left, is over in right field, Marty is in center field, he was not in the game yesterday, Reynolds is in left field, he played in center yesterday, Hartnett is the catcher, Collins at first base, Jurgens at shortstop, and Dean is the pitcher. Bill Gehrig has turned in the lineups for the New York Yankees. Billy Herman has turned them in for the Chicago Cubs. The groundkeepers are practically finished with the infield. They've got it down smooth, so there isn't even a pebble showing any place, and it looks just exactly like the top of the billiard table, and the color is just a little bit different. The color being a dusty red out here at Wrigley Field. Incidentally, it's an interesting story, the way they got the red color, which goes along with the color scheme of the ballpark. Those red cinders are, the red color in the infield is derived because of red cinders which are ground and pulverized. So they're just as fine as dust. They mix with the dirt in the infield, and they give that red effect to the infield. It gives an even better position for a ball which is bouncing to an infield. Let me give you the results of yesterday's game as far as the averages, the batting averages of the balls are concerned. So I'm going to come up in this game today. Crosetti, the first man up for the Yankees, batted .250 in the first game of the 1938 World Series, which was, as you know, played yesterday afternoon, and which the New York Yankees won by a score of 3-1. Batting orders are being given out here now from the field officially. We've already given them to you. The ball players are going out there. The Cubs are taking the playing field with Hack at third, Jurgens at short, Herman at second, Collins at first, Hartnett as the catcher. Dizzy Dean is going to be the pitcher in the second game with Reynolds in left field, Marty in center, Emery in right. Rolfe, the second man in the lineup for the Yankees, batted .200 in yesterday's game. That's his batting average thus far for the 1938 World Series. Henrich batted .500. DiMaggio had no hits. He has a batting average of absolutely nothing. Gehrig batted .333. Bill Dickey batted 1,000. Selkirk .250 and Gordon .500. Gomez, who was pitching in the game today for the New York Yankees, is 118 and lost 12, while Dizzy Dean is 1-7 and lost 1. Hack's batting average in the World Series, the first game of the World Series of 38, was .750. Herman .250. Demery nothing. Marty did not play yesterday. Reynolds had no average at all. Hartnett batted .333, Collins .333, and Jurgens .333. So there you have the batting averages for yesterday's game, the first game of the 1938 World Series, which we are bringing you from Wrigley Field. Dizzy Dean has finished his warm-up. The throw has gone out to second base from Gabby Hartnett to Billy Herman. Billy Herman to Jurgens, Jurgens to Hack, and back to Dean. And the umpire and back at the plate umpire Coles is Hunter Batterup. The umpires are Coles back at the plate, Spears at first, Hubbard at second, and Moran is over at third. Crosetti in the batter's box, facing Dizzy Dean. Second game of the 1938 World Series. There's the lineup, and here's the first pitch of this game. Comes in for a strike from the outside corner, came in right at the waist. Strike one. A curveball which came in the waist high, broke over the outside corner of the plate. Dizzy getting his sign again. Yesterday, the first man up, Crosetti, struck out. Let's see what he does today. There's the windup, and here's the next pitch. And Crosetti swings, hits a high fly ball out into left field. Kyle Reynolds goes back near the wall. He's back almost against it and takes the ball to the out. Reynolds playing out in left field, went back almost to the wall out there, about 370 feet away from home plate, and took the ball in his glove as it came down very easily for an out. A high fly. That brings Red Rolfe up to the plate. Red Rolfe, the third baseman for the New York Yankees, and the left-hand hitter stepping in the batter's box. So the ball game, of course, is 0-0. The Yankees won the first game yesterday by a score of 3-1. There's the windup, and here's the pitch. Well, bunts the ball. It's down the first baseline. Diaz is going over to cover. Tosses the ball to Collins. He's out. Dean to Collins for the put-up. So up and 2 down. Dean went over, fielded that ball very beautifully, kept running until he overtook the rolling ball, scooped it up with his left hand, tossed it with his left hand to Collins, and he was out at first base. That brings Tommy Henrich up to the plate. He's the right fielder for the New York Yankees and another left-hand hitter. Tommy Henrich stepping in the batter's box. Gabby goes into a crouch down there in back of the plate. Gives a sign to Dizzy Dean. Diz starts his wind-up, and here's the pitch to Henrich, and it's a ball on the inside. He dusts him off a little bit, shoving him away from the plate. It's ball 1. 2 down, nobody on the bases. The first half of the first inning. There's a wind-up by Diz, the pitch, and it's a strike right over the heart of the plate. Sidearm fastball, which came over their waist high. Ball 1 and strike 1 the count. There's the wind-up by Diz. Here's the pitch. A slow ball comes in too high for ball 2, making the count 2-1. Ball 2 and strike 1 to Tommy Henrich. Gabby says something to Dizzy. Dizzy grins. Looks in at Gabby, got it signed again. There's the wind-up, and here's the next one. And the ball is hit for a high fly again. This time it's in the short, right or left center field. Jergers is going back, is getting under it, and he takes the ball for the out. Jergers goes back and gets under it in left center field for the out. No run, no hit, no errors, no one left on the bases. Dizzy Dean has pitched 1 inning of baseball. He has not allowed a man to get to first base. Going into the last half of the first inning, we're going to have Hack, Herman, and Demery as the first 3 men up for the Chicago Cubs. Second game of the 1938 World Series between the Cubs and the New York Yankees, coming to you from Wrigley Field, the home of the Cubs in Chicago. First 2 games will come to you, of course, from Wrigley Field, and the next 3 will come to you from New York. Hack, the third baseman, is going to be the first man up, batted .750 in yesterday's game. He's the hardest hitter for the Chicago Cubs in the first game of the World Series. Herman, the second man up, batted .250, and Demery, the third man up, did not get a hit in yesterday's ball game and therefore has no batting average. Vernon Lupe Gomez is out there on the mound. He's warming up and throwing them in to Bill Dickey back at the plate. Dickey, incidentally, had a batting average of 1,000 in yesterday's ball game for the New York Yankees. Gomez, eccentric, Dean eccentric. Hard to pick the one who is more eccentric of these 2 pitchers. Gomez is out there on the mound, and he receives the ball from Red Ross, the third baseman, and Stanley Hack steps in the batter's box, and the cheer goes up from this very partisan crowd here, of course, Cubs fans, galore in the ballpark this afternoon. The last half of the first inning. Yankees nothing and the Cubs nothing, and Stan Hack, the first batter for the Cubs, is up. Gomez getting his sign from Dickey. He has it. Here's the pitch, and it's a ball, low on the outside for ball 1. Curveball, which missed the outside corner. Umpire Coles back in the plate in today's game. Gomez getting his sign from Dickey. Dickey comes up out of the crouch. There's the wind-up. And the pitch, it's a strike. It came in shoulder high over the heart of the plate, a fastball. Ball 1 and strike 1 the count. 1-1 to Stanley Hack. Gomez getting his sign from Dickey. Dickey comes up out of that crouch again. The wind-up at the same time. The pitch, and the same pitch is thrown in as the first pitch, and it's a ball low on the outside. Ball 2, making the count 2-1. The first one was a low curve on the outside. The second one a fastball about shoulder high. And this one, the same as the first one, another low curve ball on the outside, making the count 2-1 to Stan Hack. Ball 2 and strike 1. Hack, the first batter up for the Cubs. The pitch, the ball is back to left field for the base hit. Hack singles to left field. The ball being taken out there by the left fielder, thrown into second base. It goes in from Selkirk to Gordon, and Hack goes up at first base for the base hit. Hack singled the first time up in yesterday's game. He's doing the same thing today. Hack on first base for the first hit of the ball game. That's 1 hit off Ruby Gomez, the pitcher for the New York Yankees. Hack is on first base. The batter coming up now is Billy Herman. The batter .250 in yesterday's game. Billy Herman up. Here's the pitch. He swings and misses for a strike. Strike 1. Swung on a hard fastball on the outside corner about shoulder high. Strike 1 the count. Stanley Hack down on first base. Down on first base. Billy Herman down on first base. Billy Herman the batter, nobody out. The last half of the first inning, and the Yankees and the Cubs, 0-0. There's a stretch. Here's the pitch. A ball wide. Ball 1, making the count 1-1. Ball 1 and strike 1 to Billy Herman with Stan Hack down on first. Here's the next pitch from Gomez, and it's high, and outside for the ball. Ball 2, making the count 2-1. Ball 2 and strike 1 the count. Gomez taking just a bit more time as he pitches to Billy Herman than when he was pitching those first 3 to Stanley Hack. Now he's ready, stretches, looks toward first. A very fast delivery. The ball is fouled back into the screen in back of the plate for strike 2, making the count 2-2 to Bill Herman. Ball 2 and strike to the count. It's not evident he was on that time because Hack was way down towards second by the time he found out that the ball had been fouled back into the screen. He's going back to first base. Ball 2 and strike to the count to Billy Herman. Nobody out. The last half of the first inning, and Gomez getting his sign from Dickey. Hack is on first base. The stretch and the pitch. A swing and a miss. He strikes him out. Herman goes down, striking out, swinging, and a curveball way outside. That's the first strikeout of the ball game for the pitcher. Gomez striking out Billy Herman. And now we have Frank Demery subbing in the batter's box. Demery, a right fielder in today's game, was a left fielder in yesterday's game, playing right field for the Cubs. Man on first, here's the pitch, and he hits the ball at the right field for the base hit. Hack is in his way with the pitch. He's on second, he's going down to third, and the play is close, but not close enough, and the ball gets away momentarily from that ball, and Demery goes down to second base. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you again, the crowd was roaring so loud that I didn't want to try to give you the description over again until they had sort of settled down. Hack was on first base, Demery singled to right field. Hack rounded second and went right down to third. The throw came in from the right fielder, and it's going to be an error on the third baseman's red ball, which allowed Demery to get down to second base. Demery gets a single and goes to second on the error. Hack is on third. There's only one out, and the batter coming up is Marty. Marty was not in yesterday's game. So Marty, as far as the World Series of 1938 is concerned, is an unknown product. He's stepping in the batter's box, a right-hand hitter, 2 runners on the bases, 1 down. Both those runners are in scoring position. It's the last half of the first inning. Sandy Hack on third base, Frankie Demery on second. Gomez starts his wind-up, and here's the pitch now to Marty. Marty gets a strike. It came in just above the knees, and over the heart of the plate, a fastball for strike 1. There's 1 down, 2 runners on the bases. Joe Marty is the batter. Caught on him with strike 1. The last half of the first inning. Hack on third, Demery on second. The pitch, the ball is fouled into the right field stand. Way back in the lower deck and back of the Yankee dugout. Goes back about 30 rows in the lower deck. Strike 2 is the count to Joe Marty. Marty is a right-hand hitter. One of the reasons he's in that lineup today. Colorado left-hand hitter has been taken out. Because of the left-hand pitcher pitching for the Yankees. There's the windup, and the next pitch to Marty is a ball way high. It almost got away from Dickey. Dickey went up in the air after that one, but he came down with the ball, thereby holding those 2 runners on the bases. Hack is on third. Demery is on second. Hack single, Demery single, and there sent Demery down to second base. The single has sent Hack to third. Already there's the windup by Gomez. The pitch. On away. Joe Marty up for his first World Series at bat. Steps up, swings, foul, tips it back off Dickey's man. Still 1-2. Joe got him out of box. Instead of bobbing his head in a duck-like motion to say, that was the pitch, that was the pitch. We go fast and smoking right down in. Gomez trying to get out of this first inning jab pitches. A low inside curve at the knees for ball 2. And 2-2. That's the sharpest breaking ball that Gomez has thrown so far. Joe Marty, leading over the plate, right-handed hitter, swings, grounds it into the dirt right by his feet. The ball rolls foul and is declared dead right there in batter's box, left side of the plate. 2-2 to Joe Marty. Gomez looking up into the sky. The sun is breaking through now. It's going to be a grand afternoon as far as the weather's concerned, even though it's pretty chilly. Now the pitch is swung on, foul back into the netting. The duel continues between the World Series veteran, Lefty Gomez, left-handed mouthpaw of the New York Yankees, and Joe Marty after his first World Series at bat. First pitch open. The outfield is around toward left. They play Marty to pull somewhere. Joe takes an eye up back with all 3. Gomez is now even with him 3-2. The count is at its fullest. 3-2. Dickey in his craft. It's going down deep in the left field. It's going against the wall, but it's taken by DiMaggio on a swell play. 1-run scores. Marty is up. That ball was way back against the left field wall, 372 feet away from home plate. DiMaggio went over, played the ball beautifully, just high in the air against the wall, and caught it in his glove. After the catch was made, 1-run scored as Hack came home from third base for the first run of the ball game, and Demery went down from second to third. So Demery is on third base with 2 out. Marty going out to DiMaggio on a beautiful play on the part of that Joe DiMaggio out there in center field. That brings Reynolds up to the plate. Carl Reynolds, the left fielder, played in center yesterday and didn't have a base hitters up there. In the second game of the World Series, the Cubs leading 1-0 over the New York Yankees. There's the windup, and here's the pitch of ball. High on the outside, the ball 1. Ball on the cut. Carl Reynolds is the batter. Gomez gets his sign. There's the windup, and here's the pitch, and Reynolds hits a high foul into the right field stand to strike 1, making the count 1-1. 1-1 the count. Carl Reynolds the batter with 2 out, and another run down there on third base for those Cubs. Now from the Yankees playing the second game of the 1938 World Series. The Cubs are leading by a score of 1-0 over the Yanks. Carl Reynolds the batter. There's the windup by Gomez, the pitch. And it's a strike over the outside corner for strike two. It came in waist high, making the count 1-2. Ball one and strike two to Reynolds. Gabriel's going back and is standing right on the third base cushion. Now he starts taking a little lead off third. Rob is playing back in his regular position. Gomez starts his windup. The next pitch comes into Reynolds. Reynolds hits another ball back into the screen and back in the plate. Count remains 1-2. Ball one and strike two to count to Reynolds. The last half of the first inning with the Cubs leading the Yankees 1-0. Gomez getting his sign. Becky Crouch now back in the plate, passes in the sign. He starts a long swinging wind-up. Here's the pitch. Reynolds swings to the misses and strikes out in a change of baseball. A slow pitch which came in on the inside. He swings and strikes out the second strikeout for Gomez. The side is retired in the last half of the first inning with 1 run, 2 hits, 1 error, 1 man left on the base. Gomez has pitched 1 inning, allowed 2 hits, struck out 2 men, allowed 1 run to score. He's had up 1 error in back of him on the part of his Yankee infield. Red Ball getting the error as the throw got away from him there at third base, allowing Demery to go down to second. The score of the inning in favor of the Chicago Cubs over the New York Yankees, and the man, DiMaggio, will be the first man to bat against Dizzy Dean in the second inning of the second game of the 1938 World Series. The New York Yankees won yesterday's game by a score of 3-1 over the Chicago Cubs. Cubs are leading 1-0 at the end of the first inning of the second game. DiMaggio, the center fielder, steps in the batter's box. He batted absolutely nothing yesterday. He had no batting error. Didn't have a hit. DiMaggio's in the batter's box. A right-hand hitter, a powerful hitter. Dizzy Dean starts his wind-up, and time is called. Time is called as manager McCarthy of the New York Yankees calls attention to one of the umpires that there's a gate open in the wall. And so the umpire, down there at first base, Sears, walks over and shuts the gate. Gate is now shut. Manager McCarthy is ready to let the ball game go on. That's one of those things that is covered by a ground rule. That gate must be kept shut, leading into the right field stand. Now we're set again. Dizzy Dean is getting his time from Gabby all over again. DiMaggio standing in the batter's box is waiting for that first pitch. There's the windup, and here it comes. It's a ball. Wide. Ball one. Again, that sidearm delivery. A curve which went right to the foot. Dean starts his windup immediately. Here's the next one. A slow ball thrown right over the back of the plate from DiMaggio for strike one. It came in there right high. Making the count 1-1. Ball one and strike one. 1-1 to count. Gabby crouched down the back of the plate, gives this the sign again. Puts that glove up for the target. Here's a slow ball. It's hit out in the left field, foul by about 4 feet down the left field foul line for strike two, making the count 1-2. You can almost see the seams when that ball is pitched in. It was a very slow one. DiMaggio tried to find himself for it, but still swung a little bit early and fouled the ball down the left field foul line, pulling it down there. Ball one and strike two to count. Go to DiMaggio the batter. There's the windup, and here's the pitch by Dizzy Dean. The ball is hit for a line drive smash over Billy Jagger's head out to left center field. It's going to be a single. DiMaggio pulls up at first base. The ball is fielded by Marty. Thrown in to the second baseman, gets by Billy Herman, but it's taken by Collins, who is backing up Herman on the plate. So it's a single by DiMaggio out there to left center field. That's the first hit for DiMaggio in the 1938 World Series, and the first hit off Dizzy Dean. Batter coming up now is Columbia Lou Gehrig, the first baseman for the Yankees. Gehrig up with a man on base, nobody out. There's a stretch by Dean, the pitch, and a ball. Low on the outside for ball one. Ball on the count to Lou Gehrig, a left-hand hitter. Dean getting his time from partner. He has it, looks over at first. Here's the pitch, and a ball. Pitched wide and high for ball two. Ball to Lou Gehrig, and the pitchers are starting to warm up down in the bullpen for the Chicago Cubs. Jack Russell and Larry French have gone down in the bullpen to warm up. There's a stretch to look toward first again, the pitch, and a swing and a miss by Gehrig on the ball to strike one. Ball two and strike on the count. Gehrig swung and missed. The count on him now is ball two and strike one. Dean standing very complacently out there on the mound. Looks over at first base at Joe DiMaggio, who has a pretty good lead off first base. Stretches. Looks over his shoulder again at DiMaggio. Here's the pitch. Another slow ball comes in there for ball three. High. Making the count 3-1. Ball three and strike one loose. Lou Gehrig. First baseman for the Yankees and the second man up in the first half of the second inning. The Cubs are leading 1-0 over the Yankees at the present time. But the Yanks have a man on first base with Lou Gehrig up. There's a stretch by Dean. Here's the pitch. It's a ball on the inside and high for ball four, and he walks it. Gehrig goes down to first base, sending DiMaggio down to second. Nobody out, and the batter coming up there now is Dickey. Bill Dickey is coming up to the plate. He batted 1,000 yesterday. And a perfect day at bat in the first game of the 38th series as he batted 1,000 yesterday. Bill Dickey stepping in the batter's box. The catcher for the New York Yankees is another left-hand hitter. Gary got first base. DiMaggio on second. Nobody out in the first half of the second inning. Dickey finally discovers he has the wrong bat. So the Yankee bat boy goes over and gets the bat, and also somebody tosses him a rosin bag. They're looking for the right bat for Dickey now, and it delays the ball game just momentarily. We have two runners on the bases. DiMaggio down on second base. Gehrig on first base. Nobody out. The first half of the second inning, and the Cubs are leading 1-0 over the Yankees at the present time. Yanks are putting on the pressure right now in the first half of the second. Dickey coming up to the plate is one of their power hitters. They have two of the power hitters on base, one of whom walked, one of whom singled. DiMaggio getting a single to left center. Gehrig walking, and Dickey is up. There's a stretch by Dean to look toward second. The pitch, the ball is hit for a very high fly ball into short left field. Billy Jerkers is going back after it, and Reynolds came in for it, but Jerkers took the ball for the out. Jerkers going back into short left field. DiMaggio held second base, and Gehrig held first, of course, on the play. Well, there's one down, two men on the bases. George Selkirk, the left fielder, is coming up, and it's the first half of the second inning, and the Cubs are leading 1-0. Selkirk, the left fielder, and a left-hand hitter is stepping in the batter's box. Twinkle toes Selkirk. Dean getting his sign from Hartnett. There's a stretch. The left toward DiMaggio at second and first toward Gehrig. The pitch, and it's fouled off to the right of the plate and down toward the Yankee dugout. Fielded down there by the bat boy and thrown out of the game. It goes for strike one. A new ball is going in. Umpire Coles giving it to Hartnett. Hartnett out to Dizzy Dean. DiMaggio on second base. Gehrig on first. Selkirk, the batter, with one away. First half of the second inning. There's a stretch. The left toward second, the pitch, and it's a ball. A little bit wide for ball one, making the count 1-1. Ball one and strike on the count. First half of the second inning, Dizzy Dean pitching for the Chicago Cubs. Ruby Gomez pitching for the New York Yankees. The pitch, the ball is hit for a high, fly ball into short right field. Emily is coming in the dead run, but it's being taken by Marty, and the runners hold their bases. Marty saw what the throw in at Jerkers at shortstop. Jerkers cut off the throw. Marty came in beautifully and took that ball. It was out in the right center field. Hit out there by Selkirk, a high fly. The wind, which was going in from center field, held it up, and Marty and Emery both had to run plenty hard and fast to get into that ball. They were both there, but Marty took it. Both runners holding the bases, so we still have DiMaggio on second base, Gehrig on first, two out, and Gordon is coming up. Gordon had a 500 batting average for yesterday's game. In other words, every other time officially up, he had a base hit. Here's the pitch, and it's a ball. A little bit wide, ball one. Ball won the count. There's Dean getting a sign from Gabby Hartnett. Two runners around the bases. They're holding it up. They're calling time now for a moment. And Marty is coming in for some sunglasses. Marty is coming in for sunglasses as time is called in the ball game. Vito, the bat boy for the Cubs, has gone out to take those dark glasses off to Joe Marty. The sun came peeping through for a moment, but again has gone behind a cloud. And there's a little bit more blue sky than we saw when the game started today. Clouds seem to be splitting up there. We may have some sunshine before the afternoon is over. There's Dean ready to pitch now to Joe Gordon, the second baseman for the Yankees, who also count a ball when there are two out, two men on the bases. DiMaggio down in second, and Gehrig on first. The pitch, a ball, outside and high, a fastball for ball two. Ball two to count to Gordon. Gordon swings his bat, wants to try for timing. Got the firmer footing there in the batter's box. Here's the pitch from Dean. The slow ball is fouled. Back into the screen and back into place for strike one. Dean went through the same motion as he does when he throws a fastball. He seems to catch Gordon off stride a bit. The ball is fouled back into the screen and back into the plate before he struck, making the count 2-1. Ball two and strike on to Gordon. Two men on the bases. DiMaggio down in second, Gehrig on first. The pitch, the ball is hit for a high foul into the left field stand. It may go over the upper deck, it may fall into the lower. It goes into the upper deck. All the spectators up there. We again have a packed house, of course, out here at Wrigley Field. And now on Gordon is ball two and strike two. 2-2 to count. Two up. First half of the second inning, and the Cubs are leading 1-0 over the Yankees at the present time. There's a stretch by Dean. The look towards second and first. The pitch, and it's a ball wide of the plate by a foot or two. Ball three, making the count 3-2. Ball three and strike two to count. Now here's that 3-2 pitch again. Dean steps down off the mound. Gehrig starts back for first base. The manager looking around sees that there's nobody to cover second, so he stays in the same spot. He has a lead of about 15 feet. Gehrig is off the bag by about the same distance. There's a stretch by Dean. The left towards second and first. The slow ball is thrown in. It's hit down just to the right of Dean. Jerkers comes in field. The ball goes right between two of them. Jerkers and Hack. Hack and Jerkers both came after the ball. It goes out of the left field. Two runs are scoring easily. DiMaggio and Gehrig both scoring. And he gets down to second base. We don't know whether it's an error or a base hit, but it looks to me as if neither one of those men touched the ball. It's a two-base hit. Gordon has given a two-base hit on a very slow rolling ball, which is hit out to the shortstop. Jurgens came in a mile a minute. Hack was going over after the ball. The two of them collided in the infield, and it goes as a base hit. The ball going by them and rolling out into short left field. Dean was chasing that ball down, but it was taken by Reynolds and thrown in to the infield. He gets a two-base hit, scoring 2 runs for the Yankees. The Yankees in the lead by a score of 2-1. DiMaggio and Gehrig both scoring. The man up there now is lefty Goofy Gomez, the pitcher, a left-hand hitter, and the first pitch is a ball wide, ball 1. Well, that's a bad break in the ball game, but the Yanks took advantage of it. Here's the pitch, and a swing and a miss by Gomez for strike 1, making the count 1-1. The Yankees leading the ball game by a score of 2-1. Dean getting a sign. Here's the next pitch. The ball is hit for a high fly ball into short left center field. 2 men are after it. Marty and Reynolds. Reynolds is under the ball. He takes it for the out. Gomez going out to Reynolds out there in left field. Retires the side in the first half of the second inning with 2 runs, 2 hits, no errors, 1 man left on the bases. The Yankees are leading by a score of 2-1 in the ball game. Dean is now allowed 2 hits in the ball game and 2 runs have scored. Going into the last half of the second inning, the Yankees have a 2-1 lead in the ball game. Yankees 2, the Cubs 1, going into the last half of the second. In the last half of the second inning, there will be 333 hitters for the Chicago Cubs coming up in the inning. Hartnett hit 333 yesterday. Collins did the same, and Jurgens the same. Those 3 men are the first 3 to come up in the last half of the second inning. Those are the breaks of baseball. That ball was hit down a slow roller. Nobody should have scored on it ordinarily, but 2 infielders colliding together. The ball went out past them into left field, allowing 2 runs to score. The Yankees taking every advantage in the ball game when they do get the breaks. Yankees leading 2-1 over the Cubs. Gabby Hartnett is coming up to the plate. Gabby steps in the batter's box. Gomez has been warming up. He still wants one more warm-up throw, and he gets it. Then asks for another. Dickey standing back at the plate is catching him in the warm-ups. This one was just a lobbing toss, and the throw goes down from Dickey to second base to Gordon. Gordon over to Crosetti. Crosetti to Rolfe, and Rolfe to Gomez. Gabby Hartnett stepping in the batter's box. The last half of the second inning, the Yankees leading 2-1. Hartnett is up. Dickey crouched down and back at the plate is giving the sign to Gomez. Gomez goes into a very short windup. Here's the pitch. A ball low on the inside. It came in and almost hit him in the knees. He jumped away from that one. Ball on the count to Gabby Hartnett. Ball on the count to Hartnett. Gomez getting his sign. He has it. Dickey comes up out of the crouch for the pitch. And the ball is hit for a long line smash out to right field, but it's going to be taken by the right fielder easily, Henrich, for the out. Henrich comes in and takes the ball for the out. It was a line drive smash. That brings Collins, a 333 hitter in yesterday's game, up to the plate. Collins yesterday was batting left-handed against Red Ruffing's right-hand pitching. Today against the left-hander, Gomez, he'll be batting right-handed. Collins is a switch hitter. Here's the first pitch. He gets a strike right over the heart of the plate, strike 1. He looked as if he might be going to punt on that first pitch. Red Rolfe started in on it. Then Gomez gets his sign, winds up. Here's the pitch. A swing and a foul. Off and back at the plate and off the catching mask of Bill Dickey. Goes for strike 2 to Collins. Collins now has the count of strike 2. There's 1 down. Nobody on the bases. The last half of the second inning, and the Yankees leading 2-1 over the Cubs. Collins the batter. There's the windup by Gomez, the pitch. The ball is hit for a grounder down off the shoulder of Red Rolfe. Red Rolfe finally fielded it, bounced against his shoulder, went up in the air about 15 feet. He came in and brought the ball himself. It goes as a base hit for Collins. A single for Collins off the shoulder of Red Rolfe. The ball took a bad hop, hit him right in the shoulder, bounced straight up in the air. Red Rolfe came in and caught the ball himself. A little ball going about 20 feet in the air, and it put a man on first base. The man up is Jurgens, and Jurgens is a 333 hitter. Here's the first pitch, and he swings and misses for a strike. Strike 1. Strike 1 to Jurgens, the man on first base. Third hit off Gomez in the ball game. Gomez has now allowed 3 hits. There's 1 out, the man on first. Jurgens up. Gomez, the left-hander, getting a sign from Bill Dickey. He stretches, looks toward first. Here's the pitch. Jurgens gets the ball wide. Ball 1. Making the count 1-1. Ball 1 and strike 1 the count. 1-1 the count to Billy Jurgens. Collins taking a good lead off first base. Here's the pitch from Gomez. The ball is hit on the ground. It's down to Rolfe. It's a slow hopper over to second, over to first base. And they get Collins at second in the fourth play. The ball going from Red Rolfe to Joe Gordon, the second baseman, from Gordon to Gehrig. But Jurgens was safe at first base. The double play did not work. However, they got 1 man getting Collins at second base from Red Rolfe to Gordon, the second baseman, And Perkins is safe from a fielder's choice, and Dizzy Dean is coming up to the plate. Dean is coming up and stepping in the batter's box. Well, it's not luck on the part of the infield. When they had that collision, but Dizzy Dean in the spot and allowed 2 runs to score for the Yankees. The Yankees are ahead by a score of 2-1 in the ball game. The last half of the second, a man on first base, 2 down, and Dizzy Dean is up. Here's the first pitch. Dean gets a ball wide, ball 1. Ball on the count to Dizzy Dean. Berger's down on first base and 2 out. The last half of the second inning. The score 2-1 in favor of the Yankees. Here's the pitch. The ball is fouled back into the screen. Dean taking a full cut of that ball, fouled it back into the screen and back of the plate for a strike. Making the count 1-1. Ball 1 and strike 1 to count. Gomez getting a sign from Dickey. Stands out there on the mound. There's the scratch, the pause. It looks towards first, the pitch, and it's a strike. A curveball strike. Slow, easy curve. Much like the kind that Dizzy Dean has been serving up to the Yankees in this ball game. And it goes for strike 2, making the count 1 and 2. Ball 1, strike 2 to Dizzy Dean. Here's the pitch. A fastball. He fouls it off into the screen and back of the plate. Count remains 1 and 2. Ball 1 and strike 2 to Dean. Berger's down on first base with 2 out in the last half of the second inning. Yankees leading 2-1 over the Cubs. Yankees 2, Cubs 1. As the stretch, here's the pitch. Dean hits a slow ground ball. It's down to Crosetti. Crosetti over to first base. Dean is out at first. From Frankie Crosetti, the shortstop, over to Lou Gehrig at first base. He's out at first to retire the side in the last half of the second with no runs, 1 hit, no errors, 1 man left on the bases. Gomez has pitched 2 innings of baseball, allowed 3 hits in the ball game, struck out 2 men, allowed 1 run to score. Brings to a close 2 innings of play. This broadcast of the World Series game between the Chicago Cubs and the New York Yankees is coming to you from Wrigley Field, Chicago. They pause for station identification.
This is WBBNR Theater, Wrigley Building, Chicago.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, Pat Flanagan bring you the next 2 innings of baseball.
All right, thank you, Jones. All ready to go. The first man coming to bat should be the leadoff man, Crosetti. His first time up, he pops out to Reynolds, or flied off to Reynolds, back against the wall, rather. Clear back in there, a very deep fly, something like the one on which DiMaggio caught a long fly on Marty, which the Cubs scored the 1 run. It's 2-1 in favor of the Yankees. They're playing in the third inning. The man at bat is Crosetti. Dean pitches, and Crosetti takes one on the inside corner, but it's low for ball 1. Ball 1 to Crosetti. Ready for that next ball to be pitched. Dean has the sign. Crosetti fouls the ball up into the net. Ball 1 and strike 1. They're playing Crosetti for a full hitter over toward left field. Cubs infield got mixed up a little while ago, and a couple of runs came in. What would ordinarily been an easy out, but that doesn't make any difference. There goes a hard hit. Ball out toward left field in the corner, and Reynolds goes over and makes the catch. Back in out of our sight. When he made the catch, we could tell by the reaction of the crowd. He came up with a line drive way back in the corner near the 353-foot mark. Crosetti hit that ball beautifully and had it placed out there in a nice spot, but Reynolds went over and got it. Ross comes to bat. He attempted to bunt his first time and was thrown out by Dean. Tried to put down what they call a drag. This time he attempted the same thing and had a strike called on him. He yanked the bat back, checked his attempt to bunt. Now watch for the pitch to ball. Third ball missed the outside corner chest high. Ball 1, strike 1, 1 down. We're playing in the first half of the third, and the score is 2-1 in favor of the Yankees. Here's the pitch by Dean, a slow ball, that floats over the outside corner. The change of pace ball is just oozed in there for strike 2. Ball 1, strike 2. Ross down there choking the bat about 2 inches off the end of the handle. Hits one down toward right field. Herman is up with it. Over to first base. Rolfe is out. A hard hit ground ball. It looked sure like it was going toward right, but Billy Herman over to his left and got the ball nicely to the put-out. Henrich is coming to bat. The first time up, he popped out to Billy Jerger. Henrich at bat. Left-hand hitter. Outfielders are playing him square away in all fields. Not quite so much of a full hitter. First ball pitch to him is a lovely strike in the outside corner. Kind of a ball that looks bad all the way down there to a left-hand hitter, and just as you relax, the ball hooks in and catches that corner. Dean pitches a slow one and hits the same spot, but a little bit too low. Izzy hollers about it. Gabby looks to yelp at him. The umpire saw it wide and low. Hit the corner, but it was low. A slow one missed the outside corner going away. Ball 2, strike 1, 2 men down, and Dean is working very rapidly. Arms into the windup. Here's the pitch. There goes the ball for the bounder back towards second. Dean makes a jump for it. Herman gets it, throws him out at first base. He's out of the throw from Herman over to first baseman, and Henrich is very fast. There were no runs, there were no hits, no errors, and there was no one left on base as Dizzy Dean finished 3 full innings of pitching, in which he's allowed just 2 hits and walked 1, but 2 runs have come in. Now we're starting to play in the third inning with the top of the batter list coming up to bat. They're the boys who caused Gomez the trouble in the first inning. The Yankees are leading by a score of 2-1. We see little spots up there in the sky where the clouds are sort of being pushed apart as if by an invisible finger in long slips of blue. If this wind continues off the lake and the clouds keep on breaking this way, we will still have a bright day to watch the ball game. Yesterday was rather dull. The clouds are about 12 shades darker than they are now. Today's clouds are rather light. Boys in the infield are throwing the ball around with Gehrig. Gomez and Dickey are having their warm-up. The first man coming to bat will be Stan Hack. Yesterday he got on base 3 times but couldn't score. Today he got on base and finally got around. After going on over to third base, he came in and scored from third after Demerty had singled and put him over there. Marty hit a long fly out towards center field that DiMaggio handled with his back up against the wall at the 368-foot mark, and Stan Hack scored after the catch. The ball game is held up for a while Pat Piper throws some things off to one side that have been thrown on the field. All right. It's 2-1 in favor of the Yankees. Gomez ready to pitch down to Stan Hack. We're playing the last half of the third inning and getting all set to go. To wind up, 2 left-handers facing each other. They're playing Hack straight away. Takes the first one for a strike, chest high, a half-speed ball. Hack gets ready for the next pitch. The wind up by Gomez. That overhand curveball breaks down low. Dickey didn't like that decision so well, but the ball broke low. Ball 1 and strike 1. Ready for the next ball to be pitched. The wind-up starts. There's the ball hit down towards shortstop. Crossetti's up with it. Makes the peg over to first, and Hack is safe. He keeps it out for a hit. Hack beats it off for a hit. The tying runs on first base, and that's hit number 4 off Gomez. Nice running on his part, and a beautiful peg by Crosetti. A long stretch by Gehrig, but not quite enough to beat Hack's speed. He was in there. And coming to bat is Billy Herman. Billy Herman hit .250 yesterday. He struck out today. His first time up. Captain Billy takes a stock at the first one and fouls it back into the crowd. Gentlemen in the front row of the second group of box seats, 6 cheers back, just caught the ball. 1 strike. A man on first base, and we're seeing a tough, hard-fought ball game. The pitch, a man on first taking a good lead. A wide ball pitched in for a pitch out. They thought Hack was going down, but he didn't go. Ball 1, strike 1. Billy Herman's at bat, watching the coach over on first base. He's also watching Hack. Billy Herman hasn't had his hit this afternoon. Gomez has allowed 4 hits as a man on first. Here's the pitch. High, wide, ball 2. Ball 2, strike 1. A man on first base, nobody out. And 2-1 in favor of the Yankees in the last half of the third. The kind of a ball game that keeps everyone on their toes. Gomez has the sign. Billy Herman's the boy at bat. Here's the pitch. Billy hits the bounder over towards second base. Crossetti's after it. He finally gets the foot out of it. He's safe at first. He beats the throw. And Hack slid into the bag. Crossetti got the ball, made 1 step as if to get Stan, but that 1 step that he waited was too long. And the runner, Billy Herman, beats the throw over to first base for a hit. Stan Hack slid into the bag. Away from Crosetti. He reached for him, missed him. Crosetti, however, made a beautiful stop back at second base. And Hack slid away from him with a hook slide, went on over the bag, caught the bag with his hands, and hung on. Billy Herman got credit for a hit because while Crosetti was reaching for Hack, Billy had taken a couple of steps. By the time ball got to Gehrig, he was safe on first. Runners on first and second. Hit number 5 off Gomez. And the bunt way down. Dickey picks it up, falls down, and the runner is out on a throw that he made to Gehrig, but Gehrig caught on the hop. Gomez fell down, tripping over Dickey. Both runners advanced on a perfect sacrifice bunt by Demerty. The sacrifice bunt, Dickey fell down over Gomez's legs, but he made the throw to first, and Gehrig got it on the hop. Demerty is out. From catcher over to first baseman, and on the play, Hack went on over to third, and Herman moved to second. Marty comes to that. Score is 2-1 in favor of the Yankees. Runners in second and third. Marty at bat. Same situation that existed in the first inning when Marty hit that long fly out to DiMaggio. Marty's watching for it. Ball is a slow curve. Hooks the inside corner for ease. The change of pace, it was a beauty. Gomez just eased that one in there that time. Don't think for a second this Gomez isn't a crack pitcher, because he is. He can really pitch balls. Another serve. Hits the ground and it's trapped that time with the catcher. A low ball that bounced up against the catcher's pad, and Dickey made a nice play on that bad ball. Runner on second base, runner on third base. There's one man down, Marty at bat. Marty's watching for the ball to be pitched. Has the bat swinging off his shoulders. There goes the ball for a line drive for right center. Corrects the bases. One run is coming in. 2 runs are coming in. Marty pulls up on second base with a double. Up to easy. By a score of 3-2. And the crowd is going wild. All right, we have a double by Marty. Marty hits a double out to right center, a line drive, and he gets credit for having driven in all the runs this afternoon. That's hit number 6 off the pitching of Gomez, and the Cubs are leading by a score of 3-2. The next batter is Carl Reynolds, who has not had a hit so far in this series. There's a pitcher warming up. A pitcher warming up for the Yankees. First ball pitch to Carl Reynolds. Hadley, Bump Hadley is warming up. Hadley. All right. Reynolds takes a low ball 2. Ball 2 pitch to Carl Reynolds. The Cubs are ahead by a score of 3-2. Marty's on second base. He has driven in all the Cubs runs. Carl hasn't had a hit so far in this series. Takes one close to the belt for ball 3. Ball 3 pitch to Carl Reynolds. There's one man down, 2 runs in, and a man on scoring position on second base, and Rolfe comes in to talk to Gomez, the pitcher. Carl Reynolds hasn't had a hit so far in the series. Naturally, he's in there trying. His first time up, he struck out, just like Billy Herman did, when Billy got a hit the next time up. Reynolds is up facing Gomez. Marty's on second base. He's in scoring position if Reynolds can get a hold of one. Reynolds is waiting for it. Fouls the ball up into the net. Ball 3 and strike 1. 3-1 to Carl Reynolds with a man on second base and one man down. Ready for the next ball to be pitched into Reynolds. He's waiting for it. High ball. He walks. Reynolds gets a walk. The man on first, the man on second. Hartnett coming to bat. The first walk given to Gomez. Gabby Hartnett goes out for his turn at bat. First come up, Gabby lined out to Henrik as the first batter for the second inning. Garrick is in talking to the pitcher. There's a man on first, a man on second. The Cubs have 2 runs in this inning. There's one man down. Score is 3-2 in favor of the Cubs. And they're playing, as you know, in the last half of the third. The first ball is a slow ball to Hartnett, wide for ball 1. Gabby Hartnett's in there waiting for the cousin. He's yelling out to the pitching mound, trying to sell him a bill of goods. Calling for what he wants. Another wide ball. Change of pace for ball 2. Ball 2 pitch to Hartnett. Reynolds on first base, Marty on second base. One man down. Hartnett hits a high fly out toward short center. DiMaggio's coming in for it. He's under the ball, and he takes it in the sun. Makes the throw over to second base. But the throw is taken by Gordon. Garrick going around and sneaking in back of Marty, but Marty was there all right. Hartnett flies out on a short fly to center, and that leaves it up to Rip Collins. The man on first, the man on second. 2 men down now. Rip Collins coming to bat. He hit .333 yesterday. Watching for the ball to be pitched into Rip. And they're watching for it. Reynolds on first base with a walk. Marty on second base with a double. Rip swung at the first one, a curveball wide. Ripper Collins in there waiting for it. Marty taking his lead at second. Ripper swinging the bat down off his shoulder. There's the pitch. He swings at another ball at the same time. The fastball broke wide that time, about the same height, and broke away. A screwball away from the Ripper. He's up there. He's pretty anxious. Hadley is still warming up. He started the same kind of a pitch 3 times and went down swinging. The side is retired for the Cubs. In the third inning, there were 2 runs, 3 hits, there were no errors, and there were 2 men left on base. So at the end of 3 innings, the Cubs are leading by a score of 3-2. Marty is going to get a big cheer from the stands out there as he goes towards center field. Let's listen to it. All right, DiMaggio, Garrick, and Dickey, the first 3 men to face team. The score, as you know, is Cubs 3, Yankees 2. The Cubs scored 1 run in the first inning. Yankees got 2 runs in the second inning. The Cubs came back and got 2 more in the third inning. Dean is out there ready to have his first chance to pitch to DiMaggio. DiMaggio scored the first run for the Yankees. DiMaggio and Garrick coming in and scoring. on what was given as a double to Gordon. Jurgis and Hack charging in for a slow bounding ball, and they knocked each other down. The ball went out toward left field, and both runs scored. All right, there we have it now. It's a score of 3-2. They pay on the number of boys that come over the plate. The first hit off Dean was made by DiMaggio in the second inning. Dean swings one down. DiMaggio knocks the foul up into the stands over toward left field with a slow pitch. Strike one. Lefty French starts to warm up for the Cubs, and so does Jack Russell. Lefty French and Jack Russell starting to warm up. There might be something wrong with his arm. We don't know. Not that time. Strike on the outside corner. This would immediately tell Hartnett if there's anything bad with his arm. This steps back to the rosin sack. All right, 2 strikes to the hitter. If he has the sign, he winds it up. Here's the pitch. DiMaggio hits a pop foul up in the air. Hartnett's after it over near the stands. He's up there and reaches for it and takes it to the out. DiMaggio pops out on a foul to Hartnett. That retires the first man and brings Gehrig up. He walked his first time up. The Cubs are leading by a score of 3-2 in what has turned out to be a spectacular ball game. The sky is clearing and the sun is very, very bright out there on the field. They're playing Gehrig for a full hitter toward right. As he pitches a strike, the sidearm curve that came in looked bad all the way down, and as the hitter relaxed, it broke the corner for a strike. One. Dean winds it up. He pitches a slow ball. It hits the outside corner, but it's too low. Ball one. Strike one. One down. Nobody on. Dizzy Dean has his sign for the windup. Dean's going to pitch it. He does. A slow ball. Almost hit Lou Gehrig that time. The ball got away that time and sailed in and quickly got him in the leg, but it was a very slow pitch, and Lou stepped away and grinned. Ball 2 and strike 1. There's a fast high ball 3. Ball 3 and strike 1. Ready for the next ball to be pitched. Gehrig says something to Hartnett. Hartnett nods just as Dean gets ready to pitch. Gehrig steps out of the basket spot. He's grinning about something, and again he steps out as this starts to wind up. This man looks at him. He's working very fast, and he steps out the 3rd time. And he steps out the 4th time as this gets ready. This yells at the umpire. The trick is to try to get his man. And apparently it's worked. Now, he steps into the batsman's box, and Diz goes back against the rosin bag. And he starts into a wind-up. Pitches the ball in. It hits. Collins is knocked down. The ball hits him in the shoulder. And it goes for the hit. Dizzy Dean goes over to cover first base. That's hit number 3 off the tee. Puts the tying run over on first with 1 man down. A hit out toward right field. Collins tried to knock it down, but he slipped and the ball hit his shoulder and bounced to right, taken by Demarine. We have Dickey coming to bat. The man over on first base with the tying run. It's 3-2 in favor of the Cubs in the first half of the 4th, and Dean is pitching to Dickey. He's been working very fast to keep his arm warm, and they probably have been told to keep him pitching slowly. First ball is pitched wide to Dickey, and a wide curveball, sidearm. Ball 1. Ready for the next pitch to come over, to stretch and a look toward first. Umpire says the ball is low. Ball 2 pitched into Dickey. First time up, Dickey pops out to Jurgen. Now we're seeing what happens here. There goes the ball back towards second base. Herman's up with it. Over to short. Back to first. Double play. That time Gehrig went in kind of hard, and he bumped Jurgen. But he immediately got up and spoke to Billy as much as to say he was sorry he bumped you. He was not charging Jurgen in an attempt to hurt him. Gehrig is a big man, and he hit the dirt hard, and he said something to Jurgen, and Jurgen grinned and said, okay. Nobody was angry, and Gehrig was not trying to charge him. In the first half of the 4th inning, no runs, 1 hit, no errors, and no one left on base. The Cubs turning in a fast double play to nip that rally in the bud. Jurgen, Dean, and Hack coming up to baseball now in this inning with the Cubs leading by a score of 3-2. It's turned out to be a slow ball game. In 4 innings, Dean has allowed 3 hits. He has walked 1, struck out 2, and 2 runs came in. In 3 innings, Gomez has allowed 6 hits, walked 1, struck out 2, and he's allowed 3 runs to come in, and he's had 1 error back. Gomez has struck out 3. John tells me he checks. Collins is the last man to strike out. Thank you, John, and I did not check it. Struck out 2 men in the 1st inning and the last man up in the 3rd. All right, Billy Jurgen comes to bat. He was safe on a fielder's choice in the 2nd inning when he came up as the 3rd man at bat. All right, the Cubs leading by a score of 3-2. We're playing the last half of the 4th. Ball thrown over to second base to Flash Gordon. He gives it to Crosetti. Crosetti gives the ball to Rolfe. Rolfe shoots the ball up. Caught Jerkins. Billy Jerkins coming to bat. The Cubs leading 3-2, and the crowd is talking it up. Yankee fans are yelling for a shutout, or for a put-out rather, and the Cub fans are yelling for a hit. The first ball pitched is wide and gets away from Dickey. Gomez has been throwing that ball down here this afternoon. Dizzy Dean has been using a change of pace because of the bum arm. Another ball pitched low inside. Curveball broke down, and that thing broke off like a pane of glass. Ball 2, no strikes. Man at bat is Jerkins. Billy starts to take a cut of that, changes his mind, and takes a wide ball. He's called for a strike, I beg your pardon. Umpire raised his right hand. Ball 2 and strike 1. I was watching the outfielder just as soon as the ball was pitched. I looked out there. He tried to get away from that. The ball hit his bat and bounced back for a foul. He started to check his swing. That's the foul, strike 2. 2-2 to Billy Jerkins, and they're playing him desperately for a full hitter out toward right, and there's a big hole out in center field. Man at bat is Jerkins. Here's the pitch. Umpire says it's wide for 3-2. That gives him the whole string, and it must be in there. Now we'll see if Dizzy cracks that terrific curveball that he broke off down there the last time he pitched to Collins. There's the ball down the third base line. Rolfe is up with it on a hard shot over to first base, and the runner is out at first base. The ball was thrown wide to Gehrig, so he had to step directly down the first base line to make the catch. He got it and got out of the road nicely. Billy Jerkins sidestepped him, and he's out from Rolfe over to first base. Team comes to that. There's a crowd like Dizzy. He's getting just as much of a hand from the Yankee side of the field as he is from the Cubs side of the field. Dizzy Dean at that. The first time up he went out from Crosetti over to Gehrig. There's the pitch. Dizzy hits one down the left. That's the first ball for a single. Hit number 7 off the pitch of Gomez. Dean is over on first base with the single, he said. The man coming to bat is Stanley Hack. Dean puts on his sweater coat. One man down. The Cubs leading 3-2 in the last out of the fourth. Dean's over on first base. Man at bat is Stanley Hack. Ready for the ball to be pitched. Stan is up there watching. Left-hand hitter. Now beginning to talk it up. Up, right up over his head, a high ball. So high that Dickey, with his 6 feet 3.5 inches, had to reach for it full length. That's the kind of a ball they call a sailor. It took off after it got away from Gomez, and he had nothing to do with it. Just one of those things where the wind took it. The ball was fouled back into the net. Inside curveball. Ball 1, strike 1, 1 down and that on first base, and the Cubs are ahead by a score of 3-2 in the fourth. That ball that Gomez threw down to Stan Hack was not a duster. It simply sailed away after it took off from his hand. Hack attempts to bunt, and the ball is fouled up into the net. Attempting to bunt, the ball is fouled. Ever since the World Series started, Dickey's been trying to sell Stanley Hack a bill of goods. There's been no sale so far. Bump Harvey is warming up for the Yankees. Hack's down there at bat with Dean over on first base. Hack's watching for it with 1-2. Low curveball, wide. And nicely played by Dickey. He had to go to his knees to block the flight of that ball. The ball hit the dirt off to the left of the plate. All 2 strikes to Stanley Hack. Thousand calls, as they call him on the bench, or Stash, as we call him. Stash is up. Makes the ball wide. The umpire says, no, it missed that corner. Dickey said, no, it doesn't. Umpire said, it's 3-2, my boy. A fastball, a beautiful fastball down there, but it missed that outside corner. All 3 strike 2. Gomez is mixing them up nicely. And about a Stan Hack with 3-2. Dean's on first base, ready to go. There he goes. Here's the pitch. The ball is hit toward the shortstop. He's up with it. Over to second base. Back to first. For the double play. From Crosetti to Gordon to Gehrig. Hack hits into a double play. From Crosetti to Gordon to Gehrig. And it was a sweet double play. Nicely worked. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and no one left on bases for the Cubs. And we finished the fourth inning with the Cubs in the lead by a score of 3-2. This broadcast of the World Series game between the Chicago Cubs and the New York Yankees is coming to you from Wrigley Field, Chicago. We pause for station identification.
This is the WBDNF Theater, Wrigley Building, Chicago.
All right, John Harrington, will you come in and take the next 2 innings?
Thank you, Pat. We're going into the first half of the fifth with a score standing at 3-2 in favor of the Chicago Cubs over the New York Yankees in the second game of the 1938 World Series. Cubs 3, the Yankees 2, and the first man up is going to be Selkirk. George Selkirk, the left fielder for the New York Yankees, is going to be the first man to step in the batter's box. Selkirk standing off to the right while Dizzy Dean warms up with Gabby Hawkins back of the plate. Dean has thrown 3 or 4 of them. He's going to throw a couple of more. Umpire Coles, the umpire in back of the plate today, is putting on his chest protector, and he's ready to step in back of the plate in the warm-up. He is over. The ball is thrown down to second base. from Gabby Hartnett to Billy Herman to Jurgis, back to Dean on the mound, and we're set to go in the first half of the fifth inning. The score 3-2 in favor of the Chicago Cubs. Bowles looks at the ball that they've been using the warm-up, tosses it back into the game. It's used by Billy Dean. He's got it out there, rubbing it up now a little bit, and Selkirk steps in the batter's box, taps his bat on the plate, swings his bat a couple of times, poor timing. Gabby goes into the crouch and back of the plate, gives Dean the sign. There's the wind-up and the pitch, and the ball is hit for a high pop up to the infield. It may be in foul territory. Collins is going over after it. He shields his eyes from the sun, takes the ball for the air. Selkirk goes out to Ripper Collins in foul territory. That's one away. One down in the first half of the fifth inning, and Gordon, the second baseman, is coming up. Joe Gordon stepping in the batter's box. He had a double the first time up. It was a sort of a freak double. Two of the Chicago Cubs infielders colliding on a very slow rolling ball down toward the shortstop, and he got a double on it. Here's the pitch. The ball is fouled off to the left of the plate down at the Cubs dugout. For a strike. Strike one. Strike one to Gordon. Gordon, a .500 hitter in yesterday's ball game, has had one hit for one trip in this game, so he's batting 1,004 today anyway. There's the wind-up by Dean, the pitch, and it's a ball, a little bit wide, ball one, making it count 1-1. Then it was that side-on curveball delivered in there by Dean very slowly, easily, and it missed the outside corner for a ball. Ball one and strike one to count. There's one down. Nobody on the bases the first half of the fifth. Here's the pitch. He fouls back into the screen for strike two, making it count 1-2. Joe Gordon taking the full cut of that ball, lifting it back into the screen. The ball has gone into plate up and goes out, thrown out by the Yankee bat boy, who took it off the screen and throws it to Pat Piper. Ball one and strike two to count to Gordon, the second man up in the inning. Here's the pitch. Slow ball hit down to Stanley Hack. He fields it easily. A fast throw over to first base. He's out by about 5 steps. He's out from Stan Hack over to Collins. It's Gordon towards the batter. He's out number 2, and that brings Gomez up to the plate. Gomez, the first time up, hit a fly ball out to Reynolds in left field and was out. Gomez is coming up for the second time in the game. Gomez, history of wins and losses is 18-12. He's never lost a World Series in Calgary. Here's the pitcher for the Yankees today. There's the wind-up by Dean, the pitch, and Gomez hits a foul down the first base line. Goes just a foot outside as it goes past the first base cushion. Green has gone over to cover at first base in case it had been fair. Collins fielded the ball. Throws it into Hartnett. Hartnett throws it around the infield. Finally back to Dean. Score of the ball game 3-2 in favor of the Cubs, and the batter up there is Gomez with 2 out, nobody on in the first half of the fifth. There's the wind-up, and here's the pitch. A swing and a miss for a strike. Strike two. He swings at a slow curveball. Dean getting a sign from Gabby again. Gomez ready. There's the wind-up, and here's the pitch, and the ball is hit for a high foul back into the stands, just below us and off to the left. Seemed like everybody reached up. Hands were stuck up in the sky for that baseball that drops right in between them and hit down on the concrete, and then there's a scramble on to see who will get the ball. There's the wind-up and the pitch. The ball is hit on the ground. It's down to Billy Herman. It's a slow, easy grounder. Herman over to Collins, and he is out. Gomez out at first base from Herman to Collins. Retired the side in the first half of the fifth inning with no runs, no hits, no errors, and no one left on the bases. Dean has now pitched 5 innings of baseball, allowed but 3 hits, walked 1 man, allowed 2 runs to score. Now we're going into the last half of the fifth inning, and the first man to come up is going to be Billy Herman. Herman has had 1 hit and a strikeout thus far in the game today, and has scored 1 of the runs, which the Cubs have at the present time. They lead by a score of 3-2. Those coming up to the plate is the first man up. So we'll see Billy Herman, Frank Demery, and Joe Morty. Each one of these men have had at least 1 hit. Herman has had 1 for 2. Demery has had 1 for 1, getting a single the first time and sacrificing the second. And Joe Morty has had 1 for 2. Having a double which scored 2 runs in the third inning. Marty's long fly ball scored the first run for the Chicago Cubs. So Marty today has driven in all the runs which the Cubs have at the present time. The score being 3-2 in favor of the Chicago Cubs over the New York Yankees. The last half of the fifth inning, Gomez is warmed up. The ball has been thrown around the infield. Billy Herman is stepping in the batter's box. Umpire Coles back in the plate signifies that all is well. There's the windup, and here's the first pitch now to Herman, a high one. Ball 1. Came in way over his head. Peggy, a much taller man than Herman, had to catch the ball off around his shoulders. Peggy goes down in the crouch back of the plate, gives a sign to Gomez. There's the wind-up and the pitch. A strike, shoulder high over the inside corner, making the count 1-1. It was a fastball. Ball 1 and strike on the count. Sunshine out at the field at the present time. There's the wind-up again, the pitch, and a strike again. This time it's a curveball that came in their waist high for strike 2, making the count 1-2. A called strike. Ball 1 and strike 2 to count. But he's swinging the bat for timing. There's the wind-up by Gomez. The pitch. Herman gets a ball low on the inside. It came down around his ankles. Making it now 2-2. Ball 2 and strike 2. 2-2 to count. Gomez gets the ball. He's getting a sign now from Dickey. Starts his wind-up. Buddy Herman ready. Here's the pitch. The ball is hit for a high fly. It's going to be in short right field. Joe Gordon, the second baseman, started in for the ball and then had to stop himself and go back, but he finally makes the catch. Herman popping up to Gordon on a high fly ball just back in the grass and back of Gordon's regular second base position in the infield. Gomez now pitching to Frank Demery. Demery, the right fielder for the Chicago Cubs in their second game of the 1938 World Series, is standing up there at the plate. Gomez gets a sign from Dickey. There's the windup, and here's the pitch. And it's a strike. The curveball strike came in just at the knees. The Cubs leading 3-2 over the Yankees. Second game of the series. They win this, it'll be one game apiece. Here's the pitch. A ball thrown on the inside, which gets away from Dickey, and a new ball is thrown into play, thrown out to Gomez on the mound. Gomez, the left-hander, pitching against Dizzy Dean, a right-hander, in their second game. Gomez getting a sign. There's the windup and the pitch. A swing and a miss by Demery for strike two. A high curve ball on the outside. Demery stands out of the batter's box for a moment, looks around. Just a little bit disgusted with himself, I believe, for having swung at that bad one, which was high and wide. All one and strike two at the top of Demery. There's the windup by Gomez. And here's the pitch. Demery hits a long fly out to center field, and it's going to be an out. Joe DiMaggio taking the ball easily for the out. That brings Marty up to the plate. Marty with a double the last time up is coming up now, and he's getting quite a cheer from the crowd. He has given him all 3 runs for the Chicago Cubs. Marty in the batter's box, taps it out on the plate. Dickey crouches down and back in the plate to give the sign to Gomez. We're in the last half of the 5th inning. The score of the ball game, 3-2 in favor of the Cubs. There's the windup of the pitch. A strike, a curveball strike right over the heart of the plate. Came in that race car. Gomez, long, leaning right, he stands out. That gets a sign from Dickey. Winds up again, and the pitch is another strike. Same curveball right over the heart of the plate, race car. There's strike 2. 2 down, nobody on, and Joe Marty the batter. Marty is ready. There's the windup, and here's the pitch, and it's a ball low on the outside. Dickey thought it should have been called a strike. He stopped and he rolled the ball out to the mound and walk off. The umpire called it a ball. It's ball 1 and strike 2. 1 and 2 to count. There's the windup, and here's the pitch. And he starts to swing but holds back, and it goes for ball 2 low on the outside. Ball 2 and strike 2 to count. Marty started his swing but held it back in time. The umpires doing their usual brilliant job in this World Series. There's the windup, and here's the pitch. And the ball is hit for a base hit out to left field. Marty singles to left. Ball taken out there by George Selkirk is thrown in to second base. Frankie Crosetti is covering the bag there and takes the ball. It's a single for Marty. His second hit in 3 trips. Marty on first base. It's the 8th hit off Gomez, Vernon Gomez, in this 7th game of the 1938 World Series, which the Cubs at the present time are leading by a score of 3-2. The Cubs 3, the Yankees 2. Kyle Reynolds is up. As a stretch, here's the pitch to Reynolds, and Reynolds gets a strike up the outside corner of a fastball that came in a knee high. That ball was pitched just exactly where Gomez wanted it to go. Fastball knee high over the outside corner. Now he's ready to get his fine stretches. Before, here's the pitch. High on the outside for a ball. Ball 1 and strike on the count to Reynolds. 1 and 1 to count to Reynolds. Marty down there on first base. Gomez gets his fine. Here's the pitch. And it's strike right over the heart of the plate. A fastball comes in there just halfway between the knees and the waistline. And it's a called strike. Strike 2, making the count 1 and 2 to Carl Reynolds. Ball 1 and strike 2 to count. Gomez getting a sign from Dickey. Stands out there on the mound. Doesn't seem to be a bit prepared about the man on first. Here's the pitch. And the ball is hit for a high foul. Back into the right field stand. As the back of the Yankee dugout. Almost into the reserve grandstand section. Ball 1 and strike 2 to count to Carl Reynolds. 2 down on the man on first base and Marty. Marty takes a good lead. There's the stretch, the pitch, a high one, and the steal is on, and Marty is going to be out at second base. He is out from Dickey down to Crosetti. Marty goes out stealing from Dickey to Crosetti, who covered the bag. Bringing to a close the last half of the 5th inning. With no runs, 1 hit, no errors, and no one left on the bases. Gomez has now pitched 5 innings of baseball. He has allowed 8 hits, walked 1 man, struck out 3 men, and allowed 3 runs to score, and the Cubs are leading by a score of 3-2 going into the first half of the 6th inning. In the 6th inning, we're going to see Crosetti, Walt, and Henrich as the first 3 men to face Dizzy Dean. Let's see what their records are in this ball game thus far. Crosetti up 2 times in the ball game. It's right out each time to Carl Reynolds in left field. Walt up 2 times in the ball game. Grounded out the first time to Dean. The second time, right out from Herman over to Collins. Henrich up 2 times in the ball game. Popped out the first time to Billy Jaggers. The second time went out from Herman over to Collins at first base. As the first 3 men to come up in this inning, Dean is getting his sign. He has finished his warm-up, and Crosetti is now in the batter's box. Taps his bat on the plate. There's Dean getting his sign from Gabby. He has it. There's the wind-up, and here's the pitch, and it's a strike. A curveball, sidearm curveball, which came in there, shoulder high for the strike. It came right over the plate. Strike on the count. Again, the wind up by the great Dizzy. This time he has to stop, however, as Crosetti has stepped out of the batter's box. Now Crosetti is in there again, swings his bat a couple of times. Dizzy winds up, and the pitch Crosetti fouls back into the screen and back into the plate for strike two. Strike two to count to Frankie Crosetti, the shortstop for the New York Yankees. Dizzy in the pitcher, there's the windup, and here's the pitch, and Crosetti hits another fly ball out to left field. This time Reynolds goes almost back to the wall to take it, but take it he does for the out. Crosetti 3 times in the ball game has gone out to Carl Reynolds out in left field. One down in the first half of the sixth, and Rolfe is coming up. Dean has pitched 5 innings, allowed but 3 hits. He has walked 1 man, allowed 2 runs to score. He hasn't struck out a man in the ball game. 1 down. Red Rolfe is the batter with left-hand hitter. There's the windup, and here's the pitch. Rolfe gets a strike. Just about 3 inches above the knees and over the inside corner for strike 1. Other sidearm fastball. There's the windup, and here's the next pitch by Dizzy. A slow ball comes over the plate, but a little bit low. For ball 1, making the count 1-1. Ball 1 and strike 1 the count. Ball 1 and strike 1 is 1 out. Batter up there's Red Rolfe. Here's the pitch, a slow ball, which came a little bit too close to him that time for ball 2, making the count 2-1. All good, strike 1 the count. Ball swings that bat a couple of times to the third baseman for the Yankees. Here's the pitch, and it's a ball which comes in right at the knees. Got a little bit too close to him for ball 3, making the count 3-1. Ball 3 and strike 1. He doesn't say a word, although Gabby complained to umpire Coles about that one. 3-1 the count. There's the windup. And here's the next one. And it's a strike over the inside corner. Curveball, which broke over the inside corner high for strike 2, making the count 3-2. It'll be the call strike. Dean goes right into his windup again. Rolfe ready. Here's the pitch. He swings and strikes out. Rolfe took a full cut of the ball and swung and missed on a low curve on the inside and went down swinging, striking out for the first strikeout of the ball game for Dizzy Dean. Dizzy Dean has now struck out 1 man, and Tommy Henrich, the right fielder, is coming up. Henrich up there at the plate. There's the windup by Dizzy. The pitch, a strike over the outside corner right at the knees. Then that sidearm curveball. Dizzy's using a slow sidearm curve and a sidearm fastball along with a change of pace, and this is the change of pace ball for strike 2. It comes in there waist high. Dean winds up again. The pitch to Henrich. The ball is hit right back at Dean. He knocks it down, picks it up very slowly, throws over to Collins. He's out. Dean to Collins. Dean to a close the first half of the 6th inning, and this match now draw for Dean. The crowd has better than 40,000, around 44, I should say, stood up and cheered and clapped for Dizzy as he went over there to the dugout. After the inning, the result of the inning, no runs, no hits, no errors, and no one was left on the bases. We're going into the last half of the 6th inning. In the last half of the 6th inning, we see a Carl Reynolds, who still has not had a hit in the World Series of 38, although he walked the last time up. He struck out the first time in this game. And then we see Hartnett, who twice in this game has flied out, but batted .333 yesterday. And then Collins, another .333 hitter, who today has struck out once and had a single. Going into the last half of the 6th inning, Gomez still warming up down in the Cubs, is still leading by a score of 3-2. Right-hand hitter.
And this is the first man up in the last half of the 6th. There's the windup by Gomez. The pitch to him. He gets a ball inside. A little bit too close to him for ball 1. Pitch was in there by shoulder high. Dickey's throw back to Gomez is almost over his head. Ball on the count. Gomez getting a sign from Dickey. Dickey crouches down, puts up the glove for the target. The pitch comes inside again for ball 2. They're going to count to Reynolds, ball 2. Ball 2 to count. All right, there's the windup, and here's the pitch. And it's a strike. But the outside corner of the strike 1, it came in right at the knees. Making the count 2-1. It's a call strike. Gomez gets his sign from Dickey. Carl Reynolds, the first man up the last half of the 6th. Here's the pitch and a foul. Back into the screen and back in the plate, making the count 2-2. Ball 2 and strike to the count. Reynolds stepping back in the batter's box. He was out momentarily, waiting for that new ball to be rubbed up by Gomez. Already there's the windup, and here's the pitch. And the ball is hit for a high pop up to the infield. Crosetti is coming in and back of the mound. He's under the ball. Dances around under it a couple of times, finally takes it to the out. Reynolds popping out to Crosetti, the shortstop, who came in and back of the pitcher's mound to take that ball. Next man to come up is going to be Gabby Hartnett. Hartnett coming up, and he's getting a nice round of applause. Hartnett setting in the batter's box, a .333 hitter in yesterday's game. Hasn't had a hit today. Here's the pitch, a high one for a ball. Ball 1.
Sort of a high lobbing throw, nothing much on it. Gomez getting his sign from Dickey. There's the wind-up, and here's the pitch. Hartnett hits a long ball. It's going way deep in the center field, but DiMaggio is going back after it. He gets under it and takes it for the out. It was a long fly ball, about 380 feet away from home plate, but it was to dead center. And the ball that hit to left or to right, it probably would have gone into the stands for a home run, but that was hit to dead center field. Collins is up with 2 out, nobody on the bases. The last half of the 6th, and the Cubs leading 3-2 over the Yankees. Here's the pitch. The ball is hit for a high foul back into the screen and back at the plate by Collins for strike 1. Pepper Collins, the first baseman for the Cubs, is up. The ball has been thrown in. Collins has got 1 hit in his strikeout and 2 trips up in this game. Here's the pitch. And he takes a slow ball, hits it down to Redwall. Ross comes up with it. Collins is running down to first. The throw is way wide by Redwall, and he is safe at first base. Waiting for the officials. It's an error for Rolfe on the throw. Error for Rolfe at third base on the throw. That's the second error in the ball game for Rolfe. Rolfe had an error in that first inning on a catch coming from the outfield. Catch of the ball coming from the outfield. Collins is on first base, and the batter is Jurgis. Here's the pitch, and it's the ball. Wide. Better Jurgis for ball 1. After Jurgis, we see Dean. Better Jurgis up with the man on first base. Gomez getting his sign. Here's the pitch, and the foul back into the screen and back at the plate. Ball strike 1, making the count 1-1 to Billy Jurgis. Dickey throws another ball into play. Getting it from umpire Coles and back at the plate. Throwing it out to Gomez on the mound. Gomez getting his sign out from Dickey. Dickey puts up the glove for the target. Here's the pitch. And the ball is hit way deep in the right field foul. Way deep in the right field stands. The ball curving off the end of the bat as Bill Jurgis hit just a little bit too late on that outside ball. Ball curved in the right field stands for strike 2, making the count 1-2. Ball 1 and strike 2 to count. There are 2 outs. Toss over to first base. A nice easy throw by Gomez over to Garrick. Out of a game of catch. But Jurgis waiting for the next pitch. Is standing up there at the plate, swinging a couple of times to get his timing down. Here's the pitch from Gomez. It's a ball on the inside, a curveball, breaking in to a right-hand hitter. Jurgis took it. The ball 2, making the count 2-2. Ball 2 and strike 2 to count 2 out. Here's the pitch. The ball is into the ground over Gomez. It goes down to Crosetti. Crosetti comes up with it, steps on second base, and Collins is out. Forced at second base by Crosetti. Brings to a close the last half of the 6th inning. Result of the inning, no runs, no hits, 1 error, an error by Redwall of the Yankees, and 1 man was left on the bases. Brings to a close 6 innings to play in this second game of the 1938 World Series, with the score standing at 3-2 in favor of the Cubs over the Yankees. This broadcast of the World Series game between the Chicago Cubs and the New York Yankees is coming to you from Wrigley Field, Chicago. We pause for station identification.
This is the WBBMF, the West Wrigley Building, Chicago.
Now again, ladies and gentlemen, Pat Funny.
Thank you, John Harrington. Ready to go to work? Dean and Hartnett the battery. The boys are playing out in left field for a full hitter who's coming to bat. Joe DiMaggio. DiMaggio, Garrett, and Dickey coming up as the first 3 men to face Dean in this inning. Cubs 3, Yankees 2, as we start the first half of the 7th. Ready for the ball to be pitched. Dean has his sign from Hartnett. Starts it with a slow, easy wind-up. Sidearm curve, ball high. Ball 1. A little high that time for ball 1. Kind of a ball that keeps climbing all the time. Here's the next pitch. Outside, curve ball, wide for ball 2. Davy makes his sign down toward the bullpen. Next in the umpire says it's ball 3. Davy makes a sign for them to lay down first at the bullpen. The next time is to get up. His first time is to stay down, the next time get up. Ball 3, the next one's a strike on the outside corner. 3-1 is the call. And it got is DiMaggio. Dean winds it up. He's ready to pitch. Here it comes. There goes the ball foul out toward left field. He went too soon for a slow ball. Ball 3 and strike 2. Larry French and Jack Russell warming up for the Cubs. Axel sends in to Dizzy Dean. 3-2 to the hitter. Dean's out there on the mound, has his sign. Dean starts his windup. He's going to pitch it. Here it comes. There goes the ball toward third base on a hop to half. Back over to first base. He's out. Outfield off the track over to first base from Collins. That's 1 down. Garrett comes to bat at the perfect at bat. He has walked once, singled once.
Gary comes to the mat. One man down, nobody on. There's the pitch. There's the ball for a high fly toward right field. Right fielder Demery is coming in, playing the weight on the dead run. He's ready for it and gets it to the out of the side of the right field. Next one of the fan is Dickey. He had a perfect day at bat yesterday. Today he's popped out to the shortstop and hit into a double play. Dean goes up to the mound to get his sign. Dean has his sign. He's ready to pitch it down. 2 down, nobody on. There's the ball fouled up into the net. They're starting to take a cut at everything that Dizzy puts down there that looks good. It's the 7th inning, and the Cubs are ahead 3-2. Turned out to be a beautiful, bright, sunshiny day, along about the 4th inning. Still a few fleecy clouds up in the skies, but mostly it's clear. There goes the ball for a drive out towards center field, way back deep. Marty's after it. He has it. And it's got it out. That's coming up and down to the 7th inning. No runs, no hits, no errors. No one up for me. All the Cubs fans come to their feet in this last half of the 7th inning. We have Dean, Hack, and Herman coming up for their turns at bat. Getting all ready to go. Dean, Hack, and Herman coming up to face Gomez with allowed 8 hits and 3 runs. Playing the last half of the 7th. In the 2nd inning, the Cubs got their first run in the 1st inning. Hack singled. Herman struck out. Hack ran over to 2nd and down to 3rd when Demerty got a hit, and it was an error charged to Rolfe on a ball that he missed when it was thrown in from right field. Marty hit a long fly, but DiMaggio got against the center field wall, and Hack scored. In the 2nd inning, DiMaggio singled. Gary walked and put DiMaggio on 2nd. Dickey popped out to the shortstop. Selkirk hit a long ball out to center field, and with 2 out, Gordon hit a slow roller off toward 3rd base. Hack and Jurgis both made a dive for it. They hit each other. The ball rolled between them. Went for a double. DiMaggio and Gehrig scored, and Gordon caught up on 2nd base. Then Gomez flied out to left. Gomez having his warm-up throws. The Cubs got their 2nd set of runs. When they came to bat with the first man up in the 3rd inning, Hack getting a hit. Then Herman got a single. There was a sacrifice by Demerty that advanced both men to 2nd and 3rd. Marty, who had driven the run in the 1st inning, got a double out to right center and drove in those 2 runs. Then Reynolds walked. Hartnett popped out to center field, and Collins struck out. So the Cubs are ahead by a score of 3-2 as they're playing the last half of the 7th. It's Sidney Dean coming to bat, facing Lefty Gomez. Dean comes up and taps the plate and gets all set to go. Last half of the 7th. Ready for the ball to pitch. Dean's waiting for it. Right past his nose, in close for ball 1. Fastball. Dean got a hit his last time up. He's watching for it, swinging that bat off the shoulder. Started to bat, changed his mind, and took a fast hook in the outside corner. It was a screwball, beautifully pitched, and it broke away from the right-hand hitter and caught the outside corner for 1-1. Dizzy Dean's watching. The next one's down in the dirt. Picked up and thrown back quickly by Dickey. Ball 2, strike 1 is the call. Dean's the first man at bat in this inning, which is the last half of the 7th. Here's the pitch. Dean stops on the right field. It's a single. Next man up is Stanley Hack. Down about on first base, Dean. Having the sweater jacket put on now. Stanley Hack coming to bat. The man on first base, the infield drawn up, watching for a sacrifice. Red Ralph is playing shallow. He's up in the grass inside of the 3rd base circle. A pitcher starts to warm up for the Yankees. In fact, 2 pitchers start to warm up. First ball pitched down is a high ball. Hack let it go by. He came up with it. It was all poised to it. We're looking for the sacrifice. Murphy and Hadley warming up. Next ball pitched is called a strike. Ball 1 and strike 1. The best pitching fastball as Hack gets ready to try to punt. He's trying to sacrifice Dean down to 2nd. The Cubs are leading by a score of 3-2. It's 1-1 of the hitters. Stan Hack at the bat. Tried to punt. The ball went foul. Came back and hit the umpire on the foot. It's ball 1 and strike 2. 1-2. Hack tried to punt like he did in the Pittsburgh series, attempting to drive the ball into the ground for a high bounder, which would give both men a chance to be safe. Hadley and Murphy warming up for the Yankees. Watch for the pitch to Hack. Takes the ball called for a strike on the inside corner, and he yells about the decision, but the umpire says it's a strike. Right in there called, and Hack had a slow change of pace ball that fooled him that time. It's called out on strike. It's a strikeout number 4, I believe, for Goofy Gomez. Right, John. Thank you. Billy Herman comes to bat. He's had one hit this afternoon. Yesterday he batted .250. And on first is Dean. Billy Herman at bat. First ball pitch. He tries to hit it outside right field, but it's a fastball, and he hits it foul up into the upper deck behind the first base. When Herman steps forward to the batsman's box, he's trying to hit behind the runner. Dizzy Dean laid that ball out in right field by just tapping on it. Dean's taking a lead at first. Billy tries to hit one to right field, and he fouls another one back into the stand, way down in the right field stand. Gomez is working very rapidly. The boys are in there taking their cuts on both ball counts. Dean is working very rapidly, too. Watching for the pitch, the Cubs leading 3-2, a man on first. Next ball pitched is right past Billy Herman's nose. Ball one, strike two. One man down, a man of it on first base. And if the Cubs can get a rally started here, they can cause a lot of trouble. The if is Mr. Gomez is pitching himself a flock of baseball. Billy takes another high ball right past his nose. Ball two. Ball two, strike two, and Dizzy Dean's over on first base. He wants to go. But they're holding in there with the hope that Bill might be able to get a hold of one. They're playing him for a full hitter out toward left. Billy Herman's a wide bat. Hits the ball foul off to the left of the plate. The foul ball, strike two is still a call. Ball two, strike two. Dickey goes over, retrieves the ball, and starts around the infield. It doesn't go very far. Gehrig immediately gives it to the pitcher. Billy Herman steps up into the batsman's box, taps the barrel of the bat down against the plate. Man on first is Dizzy Dean. It's a 2-2 count to the hitter. There's one man down. Watch for the pitch. He swings too late at the fastball. Goes down swinging. That's strikeout number 5 for Gomez. He struck out 2 in the first inning. He struck out 1 in the third. And now he has struck out 2 in the seventh to the man aboard. Demerty coming to bat. He's on a hit made down a sacrifice and flied out to center. Dizzy Dean is trapped off at first base. Gomez ready to make the throw, and he misses it, and Dizzy's making him go all the way to second. Now he's running back, and he's finally put out on a throw from Gomez to Gordon. Dean is caught off first. Dean caught off first, and he goes out from Gomez to Gordon. The side is retired, no runs, 1 hit, no errors, and no one left on base. That ends the 7th inning. We start playing now in the first half of the 8th inning, with the Cubs still leading by a score of 3-2 in a very tight ball game. Now Kirk, Gordon, and Gomez, the first 3 men to come and face Dizzy Dean. Dean out of the mound, picks up the rosin sack, gets ready to take that ball and have a few warm-up throws with Gabby Hartlett. Score is 3-2 in favor of the Cubs. We told you how the Cubs made their scores and how the Yankees got their 2. You can see how the ball game has gone since those early innings. The Yankees are still a dangerous club, and the Cubs are just as dangerous. The first hit, the Cubs have had a hit in every inning except the 6th. That's the only inning in which they have gone hit. They got 2 hits. They had a run in the first inning. They got 3 hits and 2 runs in the third. They got 1 hit in the second, 4th, 5th, and 7th. When the first man up got a hit, then Gomez really bore down. They still had Hadley and Murphy warming up for the Yankees. Thinking probably that if Crosetti or Gordon get on, they can relieve Gomez. The Cubs have French and Russell keeping well. Dean just went to pitch this ball down to Crosetti. Dean winds it up, arms overhead, they're playing it to a full hitter toward right. He hits one out toward right field. The ball takes a hop out there and is thrown back into the infield in a hurry, and they find a man of it on first base. Now Kirk got the hit to put the tying run on. Now we'll see what the Yankees do. That is hit number 4 off Dean, and the first hit they've had since the 4th inning, and it's the second hit that they've had since the 2nd inning. It's starting to take 6 on Dizzy now. That first pitch, we'll see what happens. The man of batting Gordon. Nice Gordon actually hit that first pitch. There's a left side first, the pitch. Gordon takes the ball. It was just away from Daddy, and he picks it up and holds the runner on first. Ball 1, 2 low. Right down in the dirt. Well, it's 3-2 in favor of the Cubs. The Yankees have that tying run on first. He's a fast man, quick as whole center. Gordon's a bat. His boys driven into a lot of runs this year. There's the stretch by Dean, the pitch. There goes the ball toward third. Back gets it. Over to second. Up it back to first. And he stays at first for now a second for the 4th out. Back fumbled the ball a little bit. Went to his knees. Got up and stood for Hogan. Hogan made a quick quartering throw over to first base, but Gordon was too fast. He's saving a Peters place, and he represents the tying run. Whereas Selkirk was forced out at second base from Hack over to Hogan. We'll see who bats for Gomez. Somebody coming up to bat for Gomez. Husky boy, too. Gomez is out of the game. Gomez pitched 7 innings. He allowed 11 hits. He walked 1. He struck out 5, and 3 runs came in his pitching. strike ball? No. Now Hogue is batting for Bowman. Hogue is coming up as the pinch batter for Bowman. Coming up as the pinch batter in the 8th inning for Bowman. Lefty Gomez is out. There's an element on first base. He ready to pitch down to Hogue. Dean pitches and Hogue takes the first one outside. Low ball. Ball one, no strikes, one down to the tying run on first base. We have Handy and Murphy warming up for the Yankees. There's a stretch by Dean. The left toward first. The ball is pitched into the slot. And the outside corner to Dean. Straight to base. A very, very slow ball. Jack Roper is keeping warm for the Cubs. Dean stretches and looks toward first. That's Gordon leading over there. The ball is hit toward right field. It's a slow bounder. Over to second base for the ball stop. Gordon got the ball. With a backspin on it, it took it off, and Hunter got the ball and forced Gordon over to second base, and leaves Hogue over on first base in the fielder's choice. Hogue is on first base in the fielder's choice. After he has a runner out of second base from Pullman over to Jones. That puts two down, a man on first, and leaves Crosetti to bat. Crossetti's been hitting the ball awfully hard this afternoon, but he's been flying out to left field. Larry French and Jack Russell keeping warm for the Cubs. Over to first base, the runner's safe. Runner's safe on first base, that's Hogue. Another pitch picked over to first base. He's safe this time to Kyle Allas. Allas tried to put the ball on him twice that time. Happy and Murphy keeping warm for the Yankees. Watch for this pitch down here. Dean has his sign. Here's a pitch. Strike. One ball to him. One strike to Crosetti. A fast sidearm ball. Dean's ready to pitch again. The man on first base, Hogue, is plenty fast. The Cubs are ahead by a score of 3-2. We're playing the first half of the 8th. There's the stretch by Dean. The left toward first. He pitches. High. Ball for a pitch out that time in case Hogue went down, but he didn't. Ball one and strike one. Dean swings toward the rubber. Dean's over to get his sign. Now he throws the rubber. Dean's ready to pitch this ball in. There's the stretch of the left toward first. He steps back off the bag. Off the pitching rubber. The looks toward first. Hogue was making a dancing motion like he might go. Dean has his sign now. A high stretch by Dean. The glance toward first. A quick throw to first base. The throw to the wrong side of the bag. And the player comes in, and he's safe. Off to the right of the bag instead of the inside left corner. Ball one, strike one. He fires the next one back to the net. That's strike one. Ball one, strike two. Dean gets his sign to pick the next one down. 1-2 to the hitter. Dean's up in the mound. That's the ball up. Now he's ready to throw the rubber. Dean swings with his toe from the rubber. There's the stretch to look toward first. Runner makes a jumping motion. There's the ball fouled up into the upper part of the net. Ball one. Strike two down. 3-2 in favor of the Cubs in playing the first half of the 8th. As Dean receives the new ball from Hartnett. Dean's ready to swing into position. And on first base is Hogue. Dean has his sign. There's the stretch. They look toward first. 1-2 on the hitter. Ball floats down and hit toward third base. He went for a slow ball that time. Went down toward third base and just missed the dugout. Ball came in the bat handle. Debbie Hartnett yelled something to Dean. Watching for the ball be pitched in. Dean has his sign. He's letting his arm flop along at the side. Ball one, strike two. Runner on first is Hogue. Dean has the sign. There's the stretch. They look toward first. There's the pitch. Umpire says, that's the ball. Wide. Ball two, strike two. Frankie tried to call a strike, but it's wide. Umpire was right on top of the play. Umpire calls a good man. But all good umpires, if they wouldn't be in the World Series. In fact, they're good umpires, and they wouldn't be umpiring in the American and National League. With the top men in their business, or they wouldn't be up here. Ball two, strike two, two down, a man on first. Dean stretches. He looks toward first. Here's the pitch. There's the ball fouled down the third baseline. Get in the dugout again. Ball two, strike two. They're taking a cut at everything the Dean serves up there. Trying to get that tying run around. Hope it's fast enough going his feet. Ready for that next ball to be pitched. Umpire dusts off the home plate. The sun has gone back of the cloud somewhere. We can't see the cloud, but it's somewhere off to the west. We're facing directly toward the east, right down the first baseline. Here's the stretch by Dean. Here's the pitch. Umpire says it's wide and low. Ball 3, strike 2, and the runner can start with the pitch now. Yankee fans start to talk it up. The fans are yelling for Dizzy to hold him. Runner on first, ready to go with the pitch. Dizzy stretches. Steps off the mound as he finds out that the hitter has stepped out of the batsman's box. Ball 3, strike 2, 2 down. The runner on first can go with the pitch. Dean is pitching to Selkirk. Dean stretches. Dean's ready to let it go. Here it comes. There goes the ball out to left field. It's foul. Up to the Selkirk. I'll make Crosetti. Pitching to Crosetti. I was thinking a trick of those. Selkirk. We got the hit to start this 8th inning. He scored the second. Crosetti is the man at bat. Ball 3, strike 2, 2 men down, and Hope on first base. Dean ready to pitch this ball out of Crosetti. Dean swings out of the mound. Throws the rubber. Runner on first can go with the pitch, and a 3-2 with 2 down. There he goes. Here's the pitch. There goes the ball for a high line drive. Out to the left field stand for a home run. Crosetti hits the home run. Out into the left field stand, and the score is now changed to action. It's the Yankees 4 and the Cubs 3. 2 runs coming in. That's when he hits number 5 off the pitching of two. A well-hit ball. He's been aiming for that all afternoon, trying hard to pull that ball, and he's been holding back, and 3 times Crosetti has flied out to Reynolds. Once he held back and hit into the corner, Reynolds got it there. The next 2 times he drove him clear back to the wall. A well-hit ball for a home run, and the Yankees have gone out ahead by a score of 4-3. Next ball, 15 is 50 to Ross. Not that ball. First one for the ball, the next one for the strike. The next ball we pitch. Next one floats in close for another ball. Ball 2, strike 1, 2 down, and 2 runs in for the Yankees. And ahead 4-3. The Yankees are all jumping up and down over there on the bench, and they're patting Crosetti on the head and hitting him on the back. Crosetti finally got the first home run of the World Series. That was the ball for a high foul to it first. No sense going for that. Way back in there. Gentleman caught the ball with the edge of his cap that time. Missed it. Ball 2, strike 2. 4-3 in favor of the Yankees in the 8th inning. Here's the pitch. Umpire station out. Strike 3. Lost figure and looks at his side line, and he's gone out on strike. Not the starter of the umpire. Overturned Pat Parker against the rebound. The coach on third base comes up to say something, and the umpire pays no attention to it. There were 2 runs, 2 hits, no errors, and no one up in the bases. In 8 innings, Dizzy Dean has allowed 5 hits and 4 runs, and in the total Lefty Gomez in 7 innings, allowed 11 and 3 runs. Now we have a new pitcher coming in, and I think it's Murphy. Murphy, who has been depended upon to be the great man for the Yankees in the pitches, and the pitcher is the man who's coming in to pitch, I believe. Murphy will probably come in to pitch. First man coming to bat is Emery. Emery, Marty, and Reynolds, the first 3 coming up to face Murphy in the 8th inning. The Cubs need 1 run to tie and 2 to go out and get ahead. Cubs got 1 run in the first, they got 2 runs in the third. The Yankees got 2 runs in the second, and they got 2 runs in the 8th. And a home run by Crosetti with a man aboard. Murphy coming in to pitch. Murphy coming in to pitch in the 8th inning. Murphy's a big right-hander. The Yankees are leading by a score of 4-3. The Cubs about hit them 2-1, but they haven't been able to get those runs in the pitches. A very, very well hit ball by Crosetti, who's been aiming at that left field bleacher all afternoon. And this is the one instead of hitting a high fly, but he hit the line drive. He really got a hold of that pitch by Dean and smacked himself a line drive that really went for a home run. It's the last half of the 8th. Murphy's having his normal close with Dickey. And who's coming to bat is DiMaggio. He's got 1 hit, lays on a sacrifice, and he's flied out to DiMaggio. The crowd's starting to say play ball, but Murphy still keeps throwing the ball down to Dickey. Dickey finally gets ready to throw it back to him. The umpire dusts off the home plate. The throw is made to second. Murphy comes down to talk with Dickey about the sign. First man coming to bat is Frankie Emery. Yankees asserted their power, and with a man aboard got the only home run of the World Series so far, and that made the Yankees 4 and the Cubs 3. The Cubs have got to get a run to tie and 2 to go ahead. It's a seesaw battle. The Cubs were ahead in the first inning. The Yankees were ahead in the second. The Cubs turned around and got ahead again in the third. The Yankees went ahead in the eighth. And Frankie just took the ball and just missed his nose. Too close. Well, be ready to pitch to Doherty. Frank's watching for it. There goes the ball for a high fly over towards third base. It's a foul back into the stands. And we find Roth and Crosetti both going for it, but not a chance. Didn't get to it, and long foul of that northeast wind carried back into the stands. 4-3 in favor of the Yankees. Last out of the eighth. And up at bat is Frankie Doherty. Ready for the ball to be pitched. But he's watching for it. He's had one hit this afternoon. That was off of Gomez. It's up to the bunt. The ball went foul for the strike 2. Ball 1, strike 2. Ball 1 and strike 2 together. All set for the ball to be pitched in. Frank is watching for it. They're playing Frank for a full hitter toward left. That leaves center field and right field wide open. Right down the middle, but it's too low. Ball was down below the knees. Dickey started to throw the ball toward third base, and the umpire says, I'm sorry, son, that was a ball. Ball 2, strike 2. Somebody waiting for another one. Down on the shoulder. Swung at it for a strike. Went for the curveball that time. The last 3 men to come up have gone down swinging. That's strikeout number 1 for Murphy. The first time he faced, he struck out. They say that's bad luck. When here comes Marty to bat, he's driven in all 3 of the Cubs' runs. Joe Marty coming to bat. One man down, nobody on. Ready for the pitch to Joe. High ball. 1 ball, 2 high and wide. It's an outside corner with an overhand curve. It's 4-3 in favor of the Yankees. Ready for the ball to pitch. Marty's watching for it. Low ball, 2. Over the plate to too low. Overhead pitch. Murphy has been a big relief man for the Yankees for the past couple of years. Now the next one goes. Marty's watching for it. There goes the ball for a high fly toward right field. Way out there, but it's back into the stands. Right fielder started for it, made a nice run, but the ball was fouled by at least 60 feet. Knocked his glasses down and went for it. That's heads up ball, though, and you keep going for it. You never can tell what the wind will do. Ball 2, strike 1. Marty at bat, watching for another one. Let's see how it comes in. Marty takes one close to his bat for ball 3. That's 3 and 1, and the next 2 must be good. The next 2 have to be in there for Marty. It's 4-3 in favor of the Yankees, and a home run in the 8th inning with a man aboard. And a home run hit by Crosetti. Marty took a strike in the outside corner, makes it 3 and 2. He puts the burden of proof on the pitcher. JoJo's watching for the next one. He's struck out. Marty's up there. Watch for the pitch. 3 and 2. 1 down. Let it go. That's the right field. Marty gets his hit. And you have it. 3 hits in a row for Marty. He's a double and 2 singles. It's an out on first base. That hit number 1 off something. The time run is on. And Reno's coming back. Under the back. An out on first. 1 man down. Marty's over on first base. 9 runners on. The Cubs must bring it in here. First ball is a slow curve, strike 1. 1 strike it is to Carl Reynolds. 1 man on, a man on first base, and strike 1 of the hitter. The next pitch will change something. 4-3 in favor of the Yankees, the last out of the 8th. Comes to bat. There goes the ball for the drive down towards second base. Over to shortstop. Shortstop back to first with a double play from Gordon to Crosetti to Gary. Reynolds gets through a double play from Gordon to second base. Crosetti at short to Gary over at first. And the side is retired with no runs, 1 hit, no errors, and no one left on base. All right, the score is 4-3 in favor of the Yankees. The broadcast of the World Series games between the Chicago Cubs and the New York Yankees is coming to you from Wrigley Field, Chicago. We pause for station identification.
This is the WBDMR Theater, Wrigley Building, Chicago.
All right, John Hankin, would you take this next inning? Thank you. Going into the first half of the 9th inning, the score reading 4-3 in favor of the New York Yankees over the Chicago Cubs. And the first man to come up is going to be Tommy Hendricks, the right fielder. Tommy Hendricks is ready to step in the batter's box. However, Gabby Hartnett, who was scheduled to come up the line after Carl Reynolds, had to go over to the dugout and put on all that clutching paraphernalia. So he's finally come out there now, and he's standing just in back of the plate. Dizzy Dean out there on the mound has finished his warm-ups, and the first man is stepping in the batter's box is Tommy Henrich, the right fielder. Does the wind-up by Dizzy Dean. Here's the pitch, and Henrich hits a line drive smash out the right field for a single. Taken out there by Dunley, thrown into second base to Billy Herman, and he's held at first. Henrich singles to right field. Henrich on first base. That brings DiMaggio up to the plate. Joe DiMaggio coming up. DiMaggio steps in the batter's box. That's about an A's had one hit, a base hit to left field, a single. And on that single, he was one of the 2 runs to score for the New York Yankees in the second inning. Already does the scratch the look toward first base. And here's the pitch by Dizzy Dean. The ball is hit for a long one way out deep in the left field. It's going over the fence and over the wall for a home run. A home run to Joe DiMaggio on the left field wall. And the 2 runs for the New York Yankees is putting them up by a score of 6-3 in the ball game. The Yankees 6, the Cubs 3. A home run by Joe DiMaggio over the left field wall. The first pitch from Dizzy Dean. Dizzy's out there now talking with all of his infielders, and they're sending Jack Russell, I believe, into the ball game. Jack Russell is going to come in to relieve Dizzy Dean. Dean is being taken out of the ball game. Now it's going to be Larry French. French is the pitcher coming in. French at least is leaving the dugout and coming in to pitch as far as we know. And he is calling on Larry French to relieve Dizzy Dean here with the score 6-3 in favor of the New York Yankees. Score of 6-3 in favor of the Yanks on a single and a home run here in this first half of the ninth inning. The single was by Henrich out the right field. DiMaggio hitting a left field home run right over the left field wall out toward that yellow brick building just beyond the left field flagpole in the wall. Went all the way over the wall on the fly and down at the yard in front of that building over there. Which at the present time are perched several spectators on top of the building and also in the window. Larry French going into the pitch. Dizzy Dean takes on the first hand as he comes out of that ball. Got it all packed up straight for him. He's given a swell exhibition of pitch. 2 more hits in this inning, a 7 in all off Dean in the ball game, and 6 runs off Dean. Score being 6-3. French is now going into pitch. He's in there warming up. Trying a few warm-up pitches into Gabby Hartnett. He should be plenty warmed up. He's been warming up off and on since that first inning. And down there in the bullpen with Jack Russell as a relief fielder, and the 2 of them have been warming up for a long time, and now the first man to come up is going to be Garrick facing Larry French. 2 runs across, nobody on the bases, nobody out. The first half of the ninth inning, and the score 6-3 in favor of the New York Yankees over the Cubs. Garrick in the batter's box. Larry French is ready. There's the wind-up, and here's the pitch, and a slow curve, a little bit wide for ball 1. Ball 1 to Lou Garrick. Yankees won yesterday's game 3-1. They're winning this one 6-3 today in the first half of the ninth. There's the wind-up, and here's the pitch. And a slow curve again breaks over the outside corner this time. Waste time for a call strike, making the count 1-1. Ball 1 and strike 1 to Lou Garrick, the first baseman of the New York Yankees. Gary up, nobody on the bases, nobody out. First half of the ninth with 2 runs across. Here's the pitch, a ball inside and high, very fast one. But 2 making the count 2-1. Ball 2 and strike on the count. Already does the wind-up by Larry French. The pitch, a swing and a miss by Garrick for strike 2, making the count 2-2. It was again that slow curve ball going away from a left-hand hitter, and he swung and missed it for strike 2, making the count 2-2 to Lou Garrick. Ball 2 and strike 2 to count. French getting a sign from Gabby, starts his wind-up. Here's the pitch, another slow curve. This time it's too low for ball 3, making the count 3-2. Ball 3 and strike 2 to Garrick. Nobody out in the first half of the ninth, and 2 runs across. Here's the pitch, and a swing and a miss. He strikes him out. Garrick goes down swinging. Larry French strikes him out. Well, the first strikeout for French. Yankees putting this game, at least assuming a little bit, on ice here in the first half of the ninth with 2 extra runs. They were already leading 4-3. Now they're leading 6-3. There's the wind-up by Dean. Here's the pitch. It comes up by Dean. Here's the pitch. It comes up by Dean. Here's the pitch. It comes in to Bill Dickey on the inside around his knees for a ball. Ball 1. Ball 1 to count. Dickey getting a sign. There's the wind-up. Here's French getting a sign. He pitches the ball in, and a foul back into the screen and back in the plate for strike 1, making the count 1-1 to Bill Dickey. Ball 1 and strike 1 to count. The score 6-3 in favor of the Yankees over the Cubs. Bill Dickey standing up there getting a sign. Here's the pitch, and it's a ball low on the outside for ball 2, making the count 2-1. Larry French steps off the pitching rubber for a moment, goes back toward the Rosenbach, but does not use it, reps the ball up. Stands up there throwing the rubber now, getting a sign from Gabby back at the plate. Larry's all set. There's a wind-up in the pitch. The ball is hit down to Ripper Collins. Collins fields the ball, beats him over to the bag, and Dickey is out. So Collins unassisted for the second out of the inning. That's 2 away, and it brings Selkirk up to the plate. Twinkle toes George Selkirk, the left fielder, is coming up. Steps in the batter's box. With the score 6-3 in favor of the Yankee ball club of the Cubs in the second game of the 1938 World Series. Abby crouching down in back of the plate, giving the sign to Larry French. Larry gets his sign, starts his windup. And here's the pitch, a fastball on the inside, almost hits him in the shoulder. He ducks away from it. It goes for ball one. Ball on the count. Selkirk the batter. 2 out, nobody on, and 2 runs across in the first half of the 9th inning. Selkirk steps out of the batter's box. Now he's back in again. Taps his bat on the plate. Larry French walks up on the pitching rubber. He's taking a little bit more time between pitches than did Dean, his predecessor. Here's the pitch, and it's a ball. Low on the inside for ball 2. Ball 2 to count. There are 2 outs. Already there's the lineup, and here's the next one. Selkirk gets a strike. A fastball over the inside corner of the plate. Waist high for strike 1, making the count 2-1. 2-1 the count. Already there's the windup by Larry French. The pitch, a ball on the inside for ball 3, making the count 3-1. Ball 3 and strike 1 the count. There are 2 outs. Selkirk is the batter. There are 2 runs across. French getting his sign. Hardness crouched down in back of the plate. Already there's the windup. Here's the pitch. A fast one on the inside, almost hitting the head. It goes for ball 4, and he goes down to first base in a walk. Larry French has now struck out 1 man and walked 1 man. Selkirk seemed to pull a little muscle on his side. He's pulling his side a little bit as he walks down to first base. But he tried to get out of the way of that fast ball, which was coming in his head as it came in there. It was not an intentional bean ball. It was just one of those wild throws. Ball 4, he's down at first base after walking down there very slowly, still stretching, trying to get that kick out of his left side. I believe they're calling for the trainer to come out and possibly a man to run for him. Selkirk stretching and flexing his muscles, goes back. The first base pitch, he's all right now. So it's 1 man on, 2 up, 2 runs across. Selkirk was hit by a pitch ball. It wasn't ball 4. Scored as a hit by a pitch ball officially. Here's the pitch. It comes in to Gordon, and he swings and misses for a strike, strike 1. Although it didn't look up here as if he'd been hit by a pitch ball, the official scorer has thus scored it anyway. Here's the pitch now again, and it's a strike on the outside corner to Gordon for strike 2. Fastball pitched in their waist high. Strike 2 to count to Gordon. The man on first base, 2 down and 2 runs across. That man hit by a pitch ball. There's a stretch for the toward first base. By Larry French, here's the next pitch to Gordon. Gordon swings and strikes out. 2 strikeouts for Larry French in the inning. French pitching 1 inning, striking out 2 men, hitting 1 man with a pitch ball, and putting him on first base. The result of the first half of the 9th inning, 2 runs, 2 hits. There were no errors, and 1 man was left on the bases. And that totals, as far as the Yankees are concerned, well as follows: 6 runs, 7 hits, 2 errors, and 2 men left on the bases. We're going into the last half of the 9th inning. The score standing at 6-3 in favor of the New York Yankees, and it's the Cubs' last chance. The National League got his last chance in the second game of the World Series to come up. Now officially, he was walked. Selkirk was walked as we originally gave you. He wrenched his back in twisting away from an inside pass ball, as I told you, and stepped away from it. It was coming in right at his head, so it's now officially given as a walk, and not hit by a pitch ball. So we're going into the last half of the 9th inning. And the batter coming up, those Gabby Hoffman, a .333 hitter in yesterday's game. A fellow who's been up twice in this game today, or 3 times in this game today, and try out each time. He put the ball high. Back to the Beaters, twice to DiMaggio. Once way out there almost at the center field wall. So Hoffman is ready to step in the batter's box. Jake Powell is playing out in left field in place of Selkirk. Powell in left field. Selkirk has been taken out of the game, and Powell has been inserted in left field. Put him in your lineup in place of Selkirk. Gabby Hoffman up there at the plate. Ball has been thrown around the infield. Murphy is warmed up. He's now ready to pitch to Gabby. 3 runs needed to tie up for the Cubs. And for a win. Score the ball game 6-3 in favor of the Yankees. Gabby swings about a couple of times. Murphy's ready. There's the windup and the pitch. A strike at the inside corner, waist high. Strike on the count to Gabby Hoffman. The last half of the 9th inning of the second game of the World Series. There's the windup, and here's the next one. Hoffman swings and misses for strike 2. Strike 2 to count to Gabby. Murphy getting his sign. Has it. Starts his wind up very slowly. Here's the next pitch to Gabby Hawkins. Gabby gets a ball. Wide, ball one. Making the count 1-2. Ball one and strike 2 to count. Gabby stands up there swinging that bat. Johnny Murphy looks down at Wildick. He gets his sign, winds up. Here's the pitch. The ball is set up the right field. It's a fly ball and easy out to Tony Henderson right field for the first out in the last half of the ninth inning. So twice Gabby Hawkins thrown out a fly ball to right field and twice to center field. Andrews and Hadley are both warming up down there in the bullpen for the New York Yankees in case they'll need it. Johnny Murphy, however, is doing a pretty good job for the Yankees out there on the mound. He gets his sign. He's ready to pitch now to Collins. And Collins sitting left-handed against him sends a grounder down on the ground to the second baseman Gordon. Gordon over to Gehrig. Gordon fumbled momentarily, but recovered in time to pick up the ball and get it over to first base for the second half. That's 2 away. And the last half of the ninth inning, the batter coming up there now is Billy Jerkins. Billy Jerkins stepping in the batter's box. Jerkins steps in there, taps his bat on the plate. Looks out at Murphy. That's a Billy Jerkins to keep the Cubs in the ball game by getting a base hit here. If they expect to stay in the second game. However, the Yankees putting the game on ice in the first half of the ninth, winning the lead 6-3. Here's the pitch, and Jerkins gets a fast one a little bit low on the outside for ball one. Ball on the gun. Jerkins fakes the bat a couple of times at timing while Murphy is getting a sign. Then he reaches over and pitches the ball in. It's a high foul in back of the plate and off to the right. It's going into the right field section of the stands. Way back in the boxes. Ball one and strike on the gun. 1 on the cut. Yankees leading 6-3 the second game of the 1938 World Series. Here's the pitch, a ball high and on the outside for ball 2, making the count 2-1 to Bill Jerkins. Ball 2 and strike on the count. Bill stands up there, swings his bat once or twice. Johnny Murphy is ready. Here's the wind up the pitch, and it's a ball inside and high for ball 3, making the count 3-1. All 3 and strike on the count. Out of the 44,000 some odd fans are ready to leave the ballpark, and he's starting out. But as we've said so many times before, no ball game is over till that last man is out. 3-1 the count. Here's the pitch, and it's high for a ball. Ball 4, and Jerkins is down to first base in a walk. Jerkins didn't think he had ball 4. He hesitated momentarily, decided to get ready for the next pitch, but it was ball 4, and Jerkins goes to first base. Some of the fans had to holler to him, and it was time to go down to first base. Ball 4, somebody hollered from the stands, so Jerkins starts down for first, and there he is. Ellie Herman is coming in to tell the umpire closing back of the plate of a pinch batter who is coming up here in the last half of the ninth inning for the pitcher, Larry Prince. That'll be Phil Cavaretta. Cavaretta coming up. Cavaretta, I believe, batted 500 in yesterday's game. Cavaretta batted 500 in the first game of the World Series. He's coming up now as a pinch batter against Johnny Murphy. He's batting for Prince. Now, by the way, step in the batter's box. Jerkins down on first base. 2 down for the last half of the ninth inning. Murphy is ready. There's the stretch. Here's the first pitch now to Cavaretta into the ball. High on the outside for ball 1. We're also warming up down there for the Yankees. From Hadley and Harvey Andrews. Here's the pitch. A strike from the inside corner of fastball. I'll be firing it right down the groove over the inside corner for a strike. Ball 1 and strike on the count. 1-1. And out on first base is Bill Jerkins. And Phil Cavaretta the batter. Here's the pitch. He starts to swing, but holds back. He gets the ball. High on the outside for ball 2, making the count 2-1. Ball 2 and strike 1. Phil Cavaretta, a pinch batter in the last half of the ninth inning, with 2 down and a man on first. Here's the pitch. The ball is hit on the ground. It's down and out to Gordon's glove for a base hit, I believe. It'll be a single out the right field. Gordon went over, covering a lot of territory, and it goes as a hit. He just got a piece of that ball on the edge of his glove, but it goes as a hit going out the right field and gives the thousands of Cubs fans out here at the park some more hope. 2 runners are on the base. Jerkins is down on second base, and Cavaretta is down on first. Batter coming up there now is Stanley Hager, who's got 2 hits for 4 trips, batting 500 for the day today after batting 750 in yesterday's game. That's everything in the batter's box. Harvey gets ready, gets his sign from Bill Dickey. And here's the first pitch to happen at the ball. Low on the inside for ball 1. Ball 1 against Stanley Hager. 2 runners on the bases. The score is 6-3. There's a stretch to look for second base by Johnny Murphy. Here's the pitch. Stanley Hack gets a strike at 3 minutes and leaves and over the heart of the plate, a fastball. Making the count 1-1. Ball 1 and strike 1 to Stanley Hack with 2 runners on the bases. Jerkins walks, Cavaretta single to right. After 2 were down in the last half of the ninth. Here's the pitch. The ball is hit for a smash down to Crosetti. He takes a line drive right at the ground, and he is out. Mack gets a line drive smash to Crosetti, the shortstop, and he is out for the third out, and the ball game is over. The Yankees win the second game of the 1938 World Series by a score of 6-2. The last half of the ninth inning showed no runs, one hit, no errors, and there were 2 men left on the base. So this for the time of the game was 1 hour and 53 minutes. And the totals in the game for New York, 6 runs, 7 hits, 2 errors. For Chicago, 3 runs, 11 hits, no errors. There were 2 men left on the bases for the New York Yankees, and there were 7 men left on the bases by the Cubs. Those are the totals on the game officially as they come to us on our speaker. Ron Harrington speaking to you, and now here again is Pat Frankie.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? All ready to go on and tell you what happened in the ball game and speak about some of the ball players who seem to be the heroes. Crosetti, of course, getting his home run, which put them ahead and actually drove in what was the winning run. 22,108 people actually attended the ball game. $203,000, but it's less than $205,437. The official receipt. $205,437. 15% for the commissioner. Minus that, $30,813. $13.55. That's what was minus for the commission. Well, as long as these things are coming over the loudspeaker, I might just as well go ahead and talk. Of course, today, we must say again that the hero of the series this afternoon was again this Greg Crosetti, who played a beautiful game. He started 2 double plays that held the Yankees out of bad spots and pulled Gomez out of bad spots. And then we have Crosetti, who hit a home run and actually drove in the winning run himself. He'd been aiming at that left field wall all afternoon. He had a hard, well-hit ball up into the stands out near the 368-foot line. The other man who showed the Yankee power for the first time this afternoon was DiMaggio. He had no hit yesterday. He got a single in the second inning and came in and scored on that play on which Gordon hit a slow ball, and Jurgensen had both charges. It rolled between them, and they hit each other and knocked each other down. That's how they got 2 of their runs. And, of course, DiMaggio got a home run of the man aboard in the 9th inning. Dizzy Dean went out there with an arm that hurt him like a toothache, and you've got to give him credit for being a great soldier going up against the power attack of the Yankees. It took them 8 innings to finally really get to him. It happened in the 8th and the 9th, and they really got him down. The Yankees won by a score of 6-3 in a ball game that was hard fought and well played all the way through. Sparkling infield plays and sparkling outfield work. Crosetti, as I told you, tried very hard to get that ball out in left field, and 3 times runners robbed him of hits by catches out in the left field corner. But that 1 run that he got, that 1 terrific wallop over the fence, made him, of course, the hero for the Yankees. However, we mustn't forget that Crosetti played a bang-up ball game himself, and on that last ball that was played, and was hit down there just a moment ago, by Stan Hack, Crosetti came in fast and did to play an ordinary ground ball, but he got the ball in his glove just about 3 inches above the ground, and he was in the dead run. He hung on to that ball, stumbled, and hung on, and would not let go. He did a fine piece of work that afternoon. Of course, if the Cubs had won, there would have been someone be sure to write or talk about Roth being the GOAT on account of 2 errors. But the Cubs did not win, so that's all forgotten. And most of the play now will go to DiMaggio and Crosetti, particularly Crosetti, who drove in those winning runs. Dean pitched a great game, and you can see that when you stop and figure that during the time he was in, for 8 innings and 2 men pitched 2 in the 9th, he still had only allowed 7 hits. But 2 of those were home runs, each with a man ball. He allowed 2 hits in the 2nd, he allowed 1 hit in the 4th, and then he allowed 2 in the 8th, and finally they got to him for a hit in the 9th. A couple of hits, a single and a home run. The Dean tried pretty hard. Lefty Gomez now has a record, having won this ball game, the only man who ever won 6 straight World Series games. There were 2 other men who had won 6 World Series games, but in among those 6, we find that there were 2 of them that went, or 1 of them, apiece, that went for losses. 2 men won World Series games, and of course, the pitchers were Fender and Hurt. Each have 6 to the record, but each one was charged with at least 1 defeat, whereas Gomez has just exactly 6 straight wins and no losses. A great ball game all the way through. The Yankees and the Cubs are going to play their next game at the Yankee Stadium down in New York. That, of course, is the stadium that most people speak of as the trick stadium in which the Yankees can take shots at certain parts of the field for those home runs. But there was nothing tricky about the home runs they got this afternoon. They were both well-hit balls. When they get down there, as far as Yankee Stadium being built as a trick stadium for home runs, the Cubs have exactly the same chance to hit the ball in those same spots. They haven't been aiming at them so long, but they still have that same chance. So when anybody tells you a ball field is built for a certain team, remember that the other team that goes into the play has exactly the same advantage and the same disadvantages that the home team does. They may not be quite so accustomed to certain little things, but at the same time, it doesn't make an awful lot of difference, particularly when it's a series like this, where you've got to win 4 out of 7. The series isn't over by a long shot. 2 of the boys have gone up there for the Cubs, and 2 of the boys have gone down. This is a well-played, a hard-hitting game this afternoon, with the kind of thrills you like to see at a World Series. We've had a great time broadcasting for you this afternoon. Johnny Harrington and myself. We just want to tell you now that this broadcast...